alleged criminal syndicate in Gauteng. Khomotso Modise reports.
A presidential showdown is looming in the Constitutional Court, where the MK party and its leader, former President Jacob Zuma's case against President Cyril Ramaphosa will be heard this week. The MK party is seeking to invalidate Ramaphosa's decision to place Police Minister Senzo Mchunu on special leave. The party wants this matter to be heard on an urgent basis as the appointment of acting Police Minister Feroz Kachalia comes into effect on Friday. President Cyril Ramaphosa has until 2 p.m. to file his answering papers ahead of Wednesday's court battle. The MK party wants the decision to suspend Mchunu and appoint Kachalia, as well as the establishment of a Judicial Commission of Inquiry, all declared irrational and inconsistent with the Constitution. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News.
Police unions say the mental wellness of officers remains one of the most pressing yet neglected issues. It says management appears to have no structured or sustainable plans in place to address the problem. The views come after a police officer shot and killed his girlfriend and her brother before turning the gun on himself at the weekend. The incident took place in Protea Glen in Soweto, where the girlfriend, also an officer, was celebrating her birthday. 3 other people were injured in the crossfire. PopCrew says the Employee Health and Wellness Program must go beyond just ticking boxes. At the same time, Union SAPS spokesperson Lisiba Tobachale says not enough is happening to assist the officers.
Looking at the nature of the job, which is traumatic in its nature, members attend to different types of crime scenes, and it has to be that when they come back from such scenes, they need to be debriefed before they could go home. But unfortunately, that is not able for it to happen, clearly because of the lack of capacity of the component itself.
To the courts now, the Roodepoort Magistrates Court is expected to hear closing arguments in the bail application of Tiffany Nicole Meek. Meek is accused of murdering her 11-year-old son, Jaden Lee Meek. The child was found dead in Vleehof a day after his mother reported him missing in May of this year. Ntokozo Khumalo has more.
The Roodepoort Magistrate Courts will be given reasons as to why the murder accused Tiffany Nicole Meek should or should not be granted bail. Some community members who have been attending the long bail application process have expressed mixed opinions as to why Meek should be allowed to go home. Many have said she must stay behind bars for her safety, a point that was also shared by investigating officer Nceba Tiko. However, her lawyer Novel Naidu has argued that society's views are fickle and can change at any whim. The court has been presented with evidence which placed Jaden Lee Meek in the Vleehof apartment he shared with his mother before his death. Judgment is expected to be handed down this week. Ntokozo Khumalo, Eyewitness News.
Let's stay in the courts. The defense in the murder trial, where 2 men were allegedly tortured to death at a farm in Mpumalanga, has now questioned the integrity of a former security guard who has turned state witness. Sfiso Twala and Musanene were beaten to death in 2020 when their car broke down near the Bamboon farm in Mkondo. 8 men are currently on trial in the Middelburg High Court in connection to the murder. Thabiso Goba has more.
Former security guard at the Bamboon farm, Mthokozisi Vilakazi, says he was told by the farm owner to make a false statement to the police about what really happened on the 9th of August 2020. Vilakazi says he later made a second statement to police after not being able to live with the guilt. Defense lawyer Yap Silia highlighted that Vilakazi took an oath when making his first statement. He says the oath that Vilakazi took outlines that his words were true and were not made under duress. Under questioning by the defense lawyer, Vilakazi said he was not threatened or promised anything by the farm owner when he was asked to lie to the police. The trial continues today. Thabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
And at least 13 people have died in a ferry accident in Nigeria. The boat carrying 39 passengers capsized at the weekend along a river in north-central Niger state. 26 people were rescued from the water. The Red Cross says the boat was also carrying grain and farm animals as the passengers were heading to a market. Gold is trading at $3,338.02 an ounce. The rand is at 17.74 to the dollar, 23.82 to the pound, 20.82 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $68.44 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we still have got major delays on the Mike 1 North between the Uncle Charlie's interchange and Boyson's Road due to an accident. As a result, the M1 North between Boyson's and the Crown turnoff has been closed off to traffic. That's due to that massive accident scene. And expect about a 20-minute hold up if you're traveling along the M1 or turnoff at Boyson's Road, which will also back you up for about 15 minutes, but it's better than sticking on to the M1.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng today. Temperatures peaking at highs of between 15 and 18 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. The president has until today to file answering papers into the MK party's challenge over the appointment of an acting police minister.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
What are the matters that matter to you?
702 Listens
You're with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Eight minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang. Bonjour. Sanbonani. Hello on YouTube. Welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show. Happy Monday. Thank you for joining us here on 702. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. And I hope that you are fresh and you are ready for the new week. You can give us a call to join the 702 open line this morning on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. You're welcome to post your comments on YouTube as well. Just go to the 702 YouTube page. I see a lot of you are already watching us on YouTube now. But if you want to watch and listen to the show at the very same time, you can do so on the 702 YouTube page. And feel free to also comment there. I'll read some of your posts from there. Did you participate in the 702 Walk the Talk in Pretoria yesterday? It was so great to meet so many people, and I hope you really enjoyed it as much as we did. The walk, the performances, it was such a lovely family gathering. I wonder what you enjoyed the most about the 702 Walk the Talk yesterday. What was your highlight? You can give us a call or send a WhatsApp voice note there. Did you watch the Belgium Grand Prix? Congratulations to Oscar Piastri, who won the Belgium Grand Prix. Win number 6, I think, if I'm not mistaken, of this season. And really, his championship lead has now been extended. I think he now leads with 266 points for the Drivers' Championship. Norris is second with 250 points. McLaren also leads the table in the Constructors' Championship. I think Lewis Hamilton as well did brilliantly. In fact, he was voted Driver of the Day. He drove well given the circumstances that he was faced with. But I must say, I really thought that Lando Norris was going to emerge as the championship leader this year or winner this year. But Oscar Piastri has been so consistent with his drives. He's been so consistent with his wins. And I wonder if you think it's probably safe to say this is a championship like Oscar Piastri's championship to lose. Because that's how I'm beginning to think now. Oscar Piastri seems to be the one who's headed for a win here. But hey, this is Formula One. Anything could happen. Or do you agree with where I am at here? Or do you still think Lando Norris can catch up? 011-883-0702. Here's another question for you. If our election system was different and we could vote directly for our president, which politician would you vote for? Like, which politician do you actually trust? And even if it is possible, and I wonder if that is even possible for us to have politicians that we can trust. But if it was possible that we could directly choose or elect them like that. Do you have a politician that you actually trust? And what does trust mean to you? And I'll tell you why I'm asking this question and I'm phrasing it that way. I think that politicians are consistently reminding us of their lies and their lack of honesty and consistency, because they're willing to lie. They're willing to be pretentious about things, not because they care about you, but because it's for their own political expediency. And I think we're to blame as well, because we allow them to do that. And when it's time for us to vote, we don't even ask them the tough questions around some of the decisions they've taken or flip-flops they've made. It's so scary when we get into a position where we've got blind loyalty for the people we love. So when they change their positions willy-nilly, we don't ask the questions. We just vote because what? We are voting cattle? We can't think for ourselves and go, it doesn't mean I still don't want to vote for you. I do want to vote for you. But what did you mean by this? Why did you take this decision? I find that sometimes some of you are not asking those critical questions. Listen to what Floyd Shivambu said, I think over the weekend, about Zuma and the MK party.
Mkondo Wesizwe is not an honest organization. It's a family business of President Zuma for narrow benefit of him and his family. That is the fact of the matter. We tried to speak about that and no one can. We send the leadership of Mkondo Wesizwe at the highest level. With Magubane was the Treasurer General. With Luda was writing all the documents. We can tell you, it would be treasonous if we don't tell the people of South Africa. Called Mkondo Wesizwe. It's a family stokvel for personal benefit.
So that's what he says now, right? Because he's trying to start a political party. So, of course, he will say that. But what he said this weekend is different from what he said when he started Mayibuye. Well, slightly. Because back then, he said Zuma seems to be fine. It's the people around him that are a problem. Isn't that what he said?
I've got tremendous respect for President Zuma. I think that in the few close working relationships that we've got to maintain and work with now, I think I've learned more in the 6 months than I learned in the 10 years I was deputy president of Mkondo Wesizwe. Of the EFF. I learned more as a member of Mkondo Wesizwe than I learned as a deputy president of the EFF. In terms of real politics and appreciation of both the domestic and the global politics, much more thoroughly in terms of the issues. And under no circumstances would I ever fault President Zuma and his politics. I joined Mkondo Wesizwe because I thought that as part of the political historiography of South Africa, his politics and character should be protected and a legacy built around his proper politics, not the ones of gullibility.
Do you hear that? He'll never fault his politics. He speaks about how he's learned from him. Oh, but the tune has changed now. Now Zuma is using the MK party for his family's benefit, and it's not a political organization. He's using it to benefit himself. The language has now changed because clearly he can see that Zuma didn't call him back after the Mayibuye conference, the first one, and say, hey, let's come and talk. So now we're going to hear him more and more discredit the same leader he said he's got tremendous respect for. Yeah? So he's changed his mind now. He believes Zuma is part of the problem. But remember what he said about Zuma before he joined the MK party, Floyd?
I said it when I was still in the EFF, like possibly for the past, if people pay close attention to what we say and write publicly, I said on several occasions that we were misled on President Zuma, like long before there was even discussion of the formation of Mkondo Wesizwe. That is why,
but
as part of these engagements...
That's why I really want to know.
Yes.
We were misled.
Yes.
Who misled you?
So the the entire discourse of South Africa's politics, right, inclusive of influential media platforms and state institutions which in some instances were abused to pursue political agendas.
So this was him now trying to justify why he's joining the MK party, but he had forgotten that we also know what he has said before about the former president when he was in the EFF many times.
Before you know it, he would have captured everything. After he has dealt with everyone else, he's going to arrest you. He's going to arrest all of you. He's going to lock you up. He's going to kill you. That is the reality of the situation. I repeat that all dictators, after they steal government money and then enrich their families, and they fight against their opponents, their last option is to kill their opponents. As a matter of fact, that is where it is going. What kind of a president charges their own ministers through wrong procedures? Because that is where he's going. Member. Jacob Zuma is going to kill you. Honorable Member. All of you who are thinking that we are on his side now, we are going to vote for him today, but in the future he's going to kill all of you.
And there are many clips I could play you of what Floyd said when he was in the EFF. The point I'm trying to draw you to here is that there are so many positions of politicians that move. Because they're trying to do something that serves them. His positions have moved on Zuma. I've played you a clip of what he said recently. He said Zuma is using the MK party to benefit himself and his family. But a month or two ago, he said, no, I have so much respect for this man. It's the people around him that are a problem. He's okay. I've reminded you of what he said before he joined the MK party, where he says, yeah, we were misled about Zuma. I've played you what he said before he joined the MK party, back then when he was in the EFF, and I could play you more clips of what he said about this man. The point there is, some of us choose to be played by these politicians. He's saying all of this because he's trying to build a party now. We don't ask questions. When politicians flip-flop, we become voting cattle, some of us. We just want to vote. And then we want to complain much later when things turn around. We just take whatever they say and we run with it. And I'm suggesting to you that is so sad because we're enabling it and we must enable it. We must take accountability for it. That's why I was asking earlier, is there one that you actually trust or who even flip-flops but you're willing to understand their context or explanation? Because I can take someone who flip-flops but still explains to me that, oh no, this. But if you're going to just say, oh, we were misled, or you don't even think you owe the public your explanation as a politician, it says a lot. Let me know your thoughts on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. At 10 o'clock, we're going to speak to the Deputy National Commissioner, Lieutenant General Tebello Mosikili. She's the Deputy National Police Commissioner for Policing. We'll talk to her about the allegations that the Police Crime Intelligence Division is investigating, that there are apparently some BaSotho nationals that are undergoing military-style training on South African farms to reclaim land that's apparently was stolen from the Mountain Kingdom. Apparently there's an emergence of a group calling itself Matalanaha, which allegedly is recruiting BaSotho youth from within the country and abroad to incite insurrection against their government and to fight for the contentious land in South Africa. At 10:30, we were going to continue focusing on our series that looks at successful land restitution cases. We need to understand the history of this country as far as land dispossession is concerned. And we've been looking at the different cases that have been successful. Today, we're going to be looking at the Double Drift community land claim. We were supposed to speak to them a week ago, remember, and there was poaching happening at their farm. And we had to change and postpone that interview. At 11 o'clock, we're doing our Family Matters feature. Today, we'll be talking about the importance of there being a trusted adult in a child's life. The fact that we've got children that have adults in their lives doesn't mean that those are responsible, trusted adults. We'll chat about that on our Family Matters feature at 11. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good morning, Clement Manyathela and 702 listeners. Regarding Formula 1, I think this one is for Oscar Piastri. The reason I'm saying that is even though Lando is very good, he is sometimes unpredictable. For example, the other time he made a crash. The other time yesterday he cost himself time by locking and braking hard on those hard tires, even though he was told. And all those seconds that he lost is the ones that cost him the race. So I think Oscar Piastri is being consistent, and he does he performs well under pressure. Lando seems to panic a little bit and overspeed, etc., etc. Thank you.
Morning, Clement. I think the Belgian GP had the ingredients for a great race, and I was actually looking forward to the guys racing, in the rain. I mean, that's why we have those wet tires. But the FIA, I think they tinker too much. They are normal. I found it boring. It was like watching the Monaco Grand Prix. I didn't enjoy it at all. The only thing that I enjoyed was Hamilton coming from the back all the way to seventh. Besides that, boring GP. TK from Victoria.
TK, thank you so much for your inputs. Funny thing is, some people do enjoy the Monaco Grand Prix, even though it's so predictable. Like the routes are, not creative enough to really give us some action from the drivers. It's 22 now after 9.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
All right, some of the comments coming through on YouTube, and I'll go back to your calls and WhatsApps in a moment. Prince says, that's the show, Clement, over the next 3 hours. Hand collection, says Clement, I really enjoy the show. I suppose more so now that we see you guys live. General Mtungwa says, good morning, Clement, and the listeners. I'm enjoying the show all the way from the Republic of Ireland. That's amazing, General. There's so many people that are watching to the show and that are not even local. So hello to you if you're watching on YouTube. Kolela says, Clement, for me, if I were to vote for any politician I trust, I would definitely vote for my money. Musi my money in brackets there. That's what Kolela says on the YouTube page. That's fascinating. I actually saw Musi my money on Saturday. I was in Cape Town for a friend's 40th dinner, and Musi happens to be a friend of a friend. And I was congratulating him for having obtained his PhD. Fascinating. He clearly has some of you thinking he is the person that you trust to take, or is the person that you would vote for to be president if our laws really allowed for us to do.
Morning, Clement. Desperation will make you talk like Floyd Shibambu. Desperation, not knowing who you are, not knowing where you are, not knowing where you're going. Purpose is important in this lifetime.
But we still allow them to, we allow the desperation, because who's voting for these people? And to be fair, again, I've played you many clips before of politicians who just flip-flop without even explaining anything to you. So it's not just Floyd. This is a broader phenomena in our politics. It happens, and it does happen all over the world. But I think at some point as voters, we need to take accountability. If you hear someone say, I've got great respect for this leader, they just care about politics. Their politics are so amazing. They are great. And then the next time, because they need you to move away from that leader, then they claim, oh, actually, that man is not good. He's using the party for his own gains. And then you go back to some of his clips and he says, no, we've been misled about Zuma in the past. I'm asking you as a voter, what accountability do you take? How many times have you voted for people that whom they have said things you still haven't understood? You still haven't asked, even in the opportunities that you've had, to question, even internally, just to question how they're moving and whether or not they're doing that for your good or not. We are being reduced to voting cattle, and we are allowing it. And then people clap, When he speaks like that, people clap. None of them is thinking, hold on, but you said something different a couple of weeks ago. We must take accountability for enabling this behavior of politicians.
Good morning, Clement. It's Patty here from Sprayview. If I have to choose, I'll go for Dr. Musi Maimani. The guy is excellent. He's got experience. He was DA leader before. So he speaks sense. He's got cool head. I think he can make a very, very good president. Thank you.
Hi, 702 Clement and the listeners. You know me, ne? I trust or I believe in Floyd Shivambu. It's just that he's only one person. He's one in many, and he doesn't have a lot of backups or people talking on his behalf to see that this person is great and stuff. I mean, there are people, a lot of them, that says is great, but they are not in his party or something. But what I'm trying to say is that it's unlike on Julius. Julius has got followers. You understand? In terms of Floyd, the quality, I think he's got a great quality to be a leader of this country. I think, and I hope.
Good morning, Clement. Man, wait till Floyd. Floyd should just leave this whole thing, man. Alo batla spanning or banking or be an engineer or something, because clearly politics is no longer working for him. Wa Foster. And about the question you asked before that, I think Panyazali Sufi would be the guy that I would vote for. No questions asked. Daniel Mota from Savannah.
Morning, Clement Brabia. I can vote for the Minister of Electricity, Dr. Co-chairperson Ramokgopa. The reason behind is that he has showed the leadership. Look what was happening at ESCOM and seeing things through that and they go through. We know that he's a politician, but the sense of look now, he's worried about the electricity, which is costing more on the people on the ground. People that got their weakness, but he has shown that he cares a lot.
Hi, Clement. My name is Christoph. Yeah, listening to politicians, Malema, and many others, including the tapes that you have been playing now. I think if we were to put many politicians to test of trust quotient, if maybe we were to call it, I personally would trust Helen Zille, because she speaks with conviction. Whether we agree with her or we agree with her, but she speaks out of conviction and she sticks to what she has said. So and they apply what they want to apply as SDA. So I really trust the DA and especially Helen Zille. Otherwise, all of them, including Ramaphosa, I don't trust them. Thank you very much. My name is Christoph Maudi in Johannesburg.
Yeah, the fact that some of you still think you can trust the politicians, I don't know about trust, but I suppose the better the devil that, better the devil that you know, or the better devil, as they say. So you're comparing some people here that can be trusted, and you're saying, well, this is the one that I'm willing to put my money on, or I'm willing to take the risk with. I get that. Some of the names that have come up, Apanyaza, Musimamane, Hossein Ramokgopa, Naledi Pando. Some of you on the YouTube page are saying that Naledi Pando, Songe Zozebi, Floyd Shivambu, and now you've just heard Helen Zille. If you are allowed to vote for a leader, a president directly, someone that you know they may not be perfect, but you're willing to take the risk with because you know that they've been consistent, who is it? Someone who's been consistent, someone who has not flip-flopped as much, someone who has demonstrated to you that they care about you and not just their political expediency. And I must say, some of these people I've mentioned here on the list, some of the people you've suggested, some of them have flip-flopped. They have. K Mananga on YouTube says, Clement, are you in the same studio as Bongani was? No, we're not. So Bongani has a studio on my right side, and we are on, what studio is this, Ava? Studio A or B? This is B. So Bongani comes from Studio A, I come from Studio B, Mendy then comes from Studio A, Lebohile comes from Studio B, and then John Pellman, the other studio, and that's how it works. 9:31. Let's get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. More of your calls and WhatsApps after the headlines. Mbali, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. The Johannesburg Metro Police Department is urging motorists to avoid the M1 North near the Boysons off-ramp this morning. The busy road is closed off to traffic following a serious accident involving a bus and 6 cars. Preliminary information suggests that a passenger had an altercation with the driver of the bus and grabbed the steering wheel this morning. The bus subsequently lost control and collided with vehicles on the M1 headed north. The Roodepoort Magistrates Court is expected to hear closing arguments in the bail application of Tiffany Nicole Meek. She is accused of murdering her 11-year-old son, Jaden Lee Meek. The child was found dead in Vleehof a day after his mother reported him missing in May of this year. And the United States and European Union have finally reached a trade deal framework of a U.S. tariff on all EU goods of 15%. The deal brings an end to a months-long standoff between two of the world's biggest economic partners. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, as you heard on Eyewitness News, that massive accident on the M1 North is still causing those long queues. If you're traveling out of Xavier Street towards Boysons Road, bumper-to-bumper traffic there while traveling towards the Crown Interchange. Unfortunately, the road has been closed off to traffic. This is between the Boysons Road off-ramp and the Crown turn off. Please try to find alternative routes as we speak. Routes like Xavier Street, Crownwood Road, as well as Boysons Road, heavily backed up due to people trying to navigate their ways through the scene this morning. Traveling out of Sandton, an accident reported on the M1 South. It's right after the Greyston Drive off-ramp. It's causing delays. There's also slow-moving traffic along the N1 South. This is in the city of Tshwane, approaching the Flying Saucer Interchange. Queuing traffic as well on the R21 North, approaching the Flying Saucer coming out of Nelme Pierce Drive. Please be on the lookout there and continue driving with care. I'll have more updates for you at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
How far apart is Solidarity from its employer in those negotiations?
We were literally so close. That's why we were so extremely disappointed in the company. We thought we can sign the deal, over the weekend. Friday afternoon, we started negotiating at 2 o'clock, and we were making good progress. The next moment, the company packed up and said, no, they've got other things to do.
Gideon du Plessis is General Secretary of Solidarity. Sadly, that Fly SFA strike by the pilots who are members of Solidarity continues.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Medical aid plans, they're normally like this.
So, you'll need to take this form and this. So don't forget this too. Okay, wait. Don't forget this one. Wait. Okay, done.
My back!
Oh, sorry, sir. That's gonna have to come out of your savings.
At Bonitas, we make our plans simple, so they're easy to understand. We also offer a benefit booster and a range of other benefits that don't come off your savings. Visit bonitas.co.za when you need us. Bonitas, medical aid for South Africa. T's and C's apply.
Are you looking for the best savings on spectacles? At Specsavers, enjoy 1,500 Rand off when you get tested at South Africa's trusted and most established optical group. Get 1,500 Rand off all frames in store, or use your 1,500 Rand off on our leading lens enhancements, such as drive light lenses that reduce artificial glare whilst driving. Book online or call your nearest store today. Affordable eye care, Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
PG Glass Repair, PG Glass Replace.
I'm Telani from PG Glass. Got a chip? We'll fix it with precision, and we offer cash deals on high-quality new windscreens.
Visit pg.co.za today for trusted service.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
It's 24 minutes before 10 o'clock. This is the 702 open line. We are taking your calls on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. Your comments as well there on YouTube. You can go to the 702 YouTube page. I've got some comments coming through that I'll read from there as well. Let's go to some calls now. Let's start with you in Centurion. Good morning.
Morning, Major.
Hey, Tara.
Oremo.
Hi,
Let me answer your question first.
I think I can guess what you're gonna say. Do you want me to guess?
Yeah, you know what I'm gonna say.
Go ahead.
Better that devil in a red bucket in a red beret than the other ones, eh?
Yeah.
Better that one, because that one I know he's got a heart, eh?
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing, Major, I just want to give highlight something, man. I want to give the props to the organizers of EFF. Whatever province that you go to, I've worked with them in a couple of provinces, in Gauteng, in Northwest. And these are the kind of people that have their ducks in a row, man. I mean, they've got an event. They'll let you know about the event a month in advance or 2 months in advance. They'll make their payment 2 weeks before the event, making sure that you are able to set up your things, not worrying about payments and all of that. But look at their organization, man, how they well organized when they're doing their events. All I'm saying is that, things like this, small things like this, they filter to bigger things. You look at the municipality where they co-govern. You look at the insourcing that they have done. Look at the support that they're giving to Dr. Moya in Pretoria. I'm glad I bought myself a house earlier this year in Pretoria. I mean, the work that is being done there together with Dr. Moyo, I mean, it's exceptional, Madimeza. These people, all I'm saying is that let's give these people, in the next municipal election, let's give them a full support on one of the municipalities and see what exactly would they do. Then we'll be able to judge them in the next election and give them that 5 years in the election.
So you're giving them back your vote, because the last time you voted...
I made a mistake.
Yeah.
I made a mistake
Okay.
and voted for the MK in national and EFF in provincial, but my vote will never go anywhere else.
Yeah, you're ready to go back home now. All right, got it, Nolo. Made a mistake, he says, by voting for the MK party and will be going back home to the EFF. So, and in case you didn't understand there, in the beginning, he said he would rather he trusts Julius Malema more than others. So that's the person he would want to be the president of this country, because he says Julius has the heart for the black boy, for the black child. I mean, Kustas, you are in Midrand. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. Clement, you should have educated Lisa Honolo about the constitution of the FF. Once you leave the FF, you can't go back. So which home is he going to?
But he's not a leader.
Go back. That's what the constitution says. So where is he going by saying goes back to the FF? He doesn't even know the constitution of the
They welcomed him. In fact, who did we have 2 weeks ago? We had Marshall Dlamini, the Secretary General of the EFF in studio, and Leshogonolo called and apologized to Marshall and said, I made a big mistake. I gave the MK party a chance, but I'm coming back home. And Marshall welcomed him back and said, it's okay, come back home.
Anyway, Clement, there are two politicians that stand out for me when it comes to being authentic. One of them is Sungazuzid. I don't know why South Africans haven't warmed up to him yet. I think the guy is a real deal.
I mean, they did warm up to him. I mean, he came, started a party, and he's already represented in parliament. I mean, that's a big deal, isn't it?
Well, versus the money they got, they should have gotten more. Yeah, and then the second one would be Herman Mashab. There's something I like about that Herman Mashab. He's not a politician by nature, kind of thing. Hence, you find that when he makes a mistake, like not voting, he's open to these things because politics are fluid, so to speak. And I think that that's the person that if you're to give him the union buildings, he would actually do exactly what he said. He would not be spinning around and making empty promises to South Africans and he comes into power, he does something. But I think the party that they're also building is very well-grounded, Clement. I think if they were to get Joburg cities, they can change those people. That's how good they work. But for me, I do like the fact that they work with other parties. Collaboration, so to speak. Look at what's happening in Swanen, as Khonno said. In Swanen, you would think that the DA is running, but no, there is no DA there. And yet everything runs smooth. Make no mistake, even the ANC knows how to fall into line when really they've got good leadership. So I'm suggesting that HNSA and Rise Mzansi, I support the two parties that should collaborate going forward because they share the same similar sort of ethics and goals for South Africa. So I would love to see that collaboration. But all in all, those two, I think I've got faith in them.
Okay, got it. Do you want to declare your interests, Kustas? Why you also like Herman Mashaba or Songezo Zibi? Are you with the two parties at all?
Clement, I'm voting for any of those two.
But who did you vote for last time?
Last time we voted for Rise Mzansi.
Aha, okay.
And then HNSA.
So that's the declaration. But that's great. I mean, I think you're right about some of these guys. Kusta says Songezo Zibi is more authentic. He loves Herman Mashaba because he's got a different style of politics. Where do you stand in all of this on YouTube? Okay, before YouTube, let me go to these WhatsApp voice notes and I'll come read some of your comments that are coming through on the YouTube page.
Good morning, Clement. I would say Malema. Malema has been consistent on his message, man. He has stood firm. I mean, he's never been moved by what the masses are saying and what he stood firm on his message because he believes on that message. I personally think Malema, Zuma, Floyd, Ramaphosa, Helen, man, they all have their hidden agendas and all the stuff. Malema might have his own, but I haven't seen that. He's been firm on what he believes in. Kolwani, run back.
Good morning, Clement. With regards to the question that you posed of who would we vote for as the current politicians to be our president, I think in this current format, none of them. The reason for that is that if you look at all these political parties and their leaders, they are there just for self-interest. And perhaps somebody that we could have looked out to be the president of this country could be the former Chief Justice Mogoeng. We need somebody with integrity and who understands the plight of people. I think that's the person that one could vote for. But yeah, that's my opinion. MK here. Sure.
Thank you, MK. Paul Mnisi on the YouTube page says Banyaza has been consistent with his condition since he was a spokesperson. Another one says on YouTube, somewhere on the YouTube page, says Clement, flip-floppers are a no to me. And look, and Samuel, to be fair, I mean, people are allowed to change their minds, right? I'm allowed to believe that Mkhwebane, let me use the Mkhwebane example in the EFF. Remember when the Mkhwebane came in, they didn't want him. They thought disaster. And then later on, when they can see that Mkhwebane is beginning to, quote unquote, as some have claimed, play politics in that office, then they're thinking, this works for us actually. Oh, hey, guess what? This is the best public protector we've ever heard. Are you kidding me? After all the stuff that you've said about him, you can change your mind, but at least come and explain to some of your followers and some of your supporters why you've decided to change your mind like that. And I find that sometimes those things are missing and we're not asking the hard questions. On YouTube, NK says, Clem, Mamuluku Kubai, Dr. Ramokgopa and Minister Butimana Mela have demonstrated good leadership skills to me so far. So I believe they pay attention to people. Those are the people I would definitely vote for if our laws agreed to be president of this country. Jeremiah, you're calling us from Boxburg. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. How are you?
I'm not doing it.
Let's give Clement Mashaba and HNSA opportunity. What do we call it? I almost said Clement. Mashaba did well when he was a mayor of Joburg. And personally, one thing that I like is he's one type of a leader who's not afraid to admit when he's wrong. And he listens to the public. There was a case, I'm not sure if you may remember, where there was someone who was walking around in a trolley carrying cow's head, and he posted about it on social media, and people responded to, stuff like that, and he listened to them, and raised his concern, obviously, about food safety. So I was in Joburg when he took over as the mayor. The place was very safe. I know that he transformed Metropolis shift roster to be more effective and very more efficient. The only thing, if I could advise him, is to get a good spokesperson, because I think he can't speak to save his life, so that he can, focus on that mean and have someone who's eloquent, charismatic, to speak on his behalf.
But he has to engage at some point. So what's going to happen when he has to engage? Because don't you want leaders to be more accessible? Because one of the things I appreciate about him as a politician is how accessible he is. So he can go engage you, Jeremiah, even on a platform like Twitter, but he's willing to engage the people who follow him. So that's why he will call in on some of the shows on this station, or when you are calling him, he's quickly available to come and give the party's position. I think it's important to have leaders speak out like that, because then we can decide, in fact, whether these people are pushing positions we agree with or not. Because I find some of the leaders that are hiding behind, they're spokespeople doing the work. But we also want to know from the leaders themselves, where do they stand?
Yeah, no, I know. But unfortunately, he's very difficult to follow when he speaks. And I think that's where he loses a lot of people, And then the other thing that I wanted to say, my parting shot is, and the other thing I know, there was that mishap with regards to that book that was written by Prince Mashele. I think for me it's forgivable. South African politics is very different. We vote people based on personality, other than their character or what they can achieve. And for me, I think that's what he wanted to do, to work on his, PR, his personality, so that he can build some political pop starism. But I forgive him. I think he did it from very good intention. He wanted to save the country to serve. But I think he's the man for the country.
Okay.
We need to give that guy a chance.
Mashaba, the man for the country, says Jeremiah. On YouTube, Opa says, "Hi Clement, I will vote for Musimemani. He is brilliant and he's a true and honest man." That's Opa on the YouTube page. It's 12 minutes now before 10 o'clock.
702 delivers
on the matters that matter to you.
Hi everyone, my name is Tsapang from Midrand. I love 72 because of the credibility of their news, also credibility of their information. You can rely on their presenters, and on a lighter note, I also love their West Quiz feature.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
so we can deliver more on what matters to you.
702 listens.
Let's walk the talk.
When service delivery fails, hope doesn't have to. Fix Local helps you report issues, escalate when you're ignored, and as a last resort, fix them yourself, safely and legally. Fix Local is more than a platform. It's a way for communities to stand up, speak out, and work with or hold local government accountable. Visit fixlocal.org.za to report burst pipes, broken street lights, or other service delivery issues in your neighborhood. Also, lots of tips to help you organize in your community for action. 702 is proud to support Fix Local. Let's walk the talk and fix what's ours.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult, day 3,274. Every time I go to a fancy birthday dinner, I'm reminded I'm just 5 fancy birthday dinners away from financial ruin. Note to self, don't make any more born in June friends.
Recently removed from the family payroll. Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's like 570 Rand a month, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
Sunrail is upgrading your route. From 20 May 2025 to 31 January 2027, expect partial nighttime lane closures on the N3 between Geldenhuys and Baklu interchanges. Closures run from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. with at least one lane open in both directions at all times. Please plan your trips, slow down, and follow all signs and signals, and exercise caution when navigating affected areas. We apologize for the inconvenience and thank you for your patience. Sunrail remains committed to improving safety and the quality of our national roads. Sunrail is building roads that connect South Africa. Sunrail, an agency of the Department of Transport.
702 and Corporates That Care with Hirsch's are talking about Hirsch's involvement in the Claire Ellis Brown Preschool.
So the Claire Brown School is just the most beautiful little school. This wonderful teacher came through called Sandra McLaren. She said to me something which I don't know if I should have done, but I did, was come through and visit the school. And the school had a beautiful garden, and growing up in a flat, you didn't have a garden. These little kids that live in the area now have somewhere to go and play, which just seems so special. So I thought, how can we get involved with that? And one of the things I found out was they're looking at their books. Their rates were like through the roof, like 6,000 Rand a month in rates, which was just crazy. So after finding people to speak to at the city council and irritating them for months and months, we got the rate reduced to 100 Rand a year and backdated 10 years.
Wow.
And I thought, geez, we can make a little bit of a difference here, which was awesome. Then we started fixing up the school and painting and putting new kitchens and running food for the kids. And we've been doing that for over 20 years.
Hirsch's, proud to help grow bright futures, one child at a time. Learn more at hirsches.co.za. 702. Let's walk the talk. Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
All right, 8 minutes now before 10 o'clock. More of your calls on the 702 open line as we wrap it all up. The WhatsApps as well. Your comments there on YouTube. Opa on the YouTube page says, Clement, I will vote for my money because he is brilliant like that and he's honest. Casey on the YouTube page says, Clement, Mr. Suleiman from Gift of the Givers, for me is the person that I really trust. And then there is somebody else, Topiwa, who says, hi, Clement, I see you and the pen that you are using there. Can I please be allowed to donate a pen to you? I love the show and the studio setup. Okay, what Tapiwa, is it Tapiwa? Yeah, is referring to is this pen that, yeah, because when I host the show, some reason I can't talk without holding a pen. I don't know. Is that weird? Yeah. Oh my God. Imagine. Do I ever spoken like this? I don't. I speak and I have to hold a pen because sometimes I write down stuff that some of you say on the calls if I need to respond to something. So I've got this yellow pen. Baby sang this song, a ball pen, and it's a yellow, non-branded pen, but it's like a pen you use like for studies, which is what I use a lot. So it's not the fanciest of pens. I do have a pen or so that sort of works. I'll find it in my bag if I have it. But yeah, Tapiwa, you can donate a pen for me if this you think doesn't work. And let me know. And I've got this red one as well. Anyway, that's what Tapiwa is referring to. So do donate me a pen if you think this one is quite embarrassing. Here's some WhatsApp voice notes that have come on 0727021702.
Morning, Clement. I think Mandisi Gankis made it clear for us. I don't trust any politician. Sorry. Thank you.
Hi, Clement. I fully agree that we must hold ourselves as voters accountable for who we keep voting for. At the same time, though, I do think we can criticize our electoral system that crossing party floors is even still allowed, because I do think that is a vulnerability for manipulation and corruption if our politicians can switch their parties whenever they feel like it.
Good morning, Clement. I hope you're well. Listen, I do not trust any politician, but if I were to vote for somebody who tells it like it is, I will definitely go for Julius Malema or Panyaza Lesotho. It's only that Panyaza is in the wrong political party. Thank you very much. This is Zamile from Orange Farm.
Good morning, Clement. Talking about politicians. My late father used to say, when a man comes up to you and he holds out his hand wanting to shake your hand and say, I'm your new local politician, do not shake hands with him because your fingers are going to stay behind. And that, although he was referring to the old Nats in those days, but they're all the same. Politicians, yeah, when it comes to shaking hands and kissing babies.
Yes.
Yeah, all liars. I will make the exception, as per your previous caller. Helen Ziller comes across as very honest, very decent, and very straightforward. And if she said something, she will stand by it and explain it. And if you don't agree with it, well, tough. But she says what she wants to say, and normally she makes sense. Thanks, Nick from Melbourne.
Yeah, Nick. Yeah, when it's times for voting, they'll come and kiss all your babies. Sam on YouTube says, "Morning, Clement. I think it's time for us to stop following individuals and start listening to the manifestos." Tandiwe on YouTube as well says, "Clement, good morning. I think now is the time has come for women to take over this country. Let's put men on one side. They could not deliver. Women need to unite and put jealous one on the side." Professor Madonsela, hashtag. That's what he says. And then on YouTube, Dineo 85 Pel says, "Hi Madimecha, I just don't get it for voting someone in, because once in they become the minute they go in, they become something else, forgetting why they're there in the first place." So yeah, that's quite something, right? Maybe you vote for them because you do trust them then, but when they get into office, they become something else. Someone spoke about Mandisi Chanchi's song, "Bayafana bonke zingamaxoki," means they are all the same, these politicians. They are all liars. This is how Mandisi expressed it in song.
Ngenkokheli zethu ngathi yintonile izenza zingakhathali kangaka, ndathi yintonile izenza zingasixabisi kangaka, wathi ukundiphendula, wathi ukundiphendula. Ziyafana zonke, zingamaxoki zonke, ziyafana zonke, zingamenemene zonke, ziyafana zonke, zingamabhedegu emoki, ziyafana zonke, zingamaxoki zonke. Kodwa ngenye imini bovuka abantu bamanyane bathathela amandla kubo, bovuka abantu bamanyane bathathela amandla kubo, bovuka abantu bamanyane bathathela amandla kubo.
So that's what he says. Bayafana bonke zingamaxoki amamenemene. That's what he says. Mandisi Janji talking about our leaders. Hey? And yes, I get it, guys. I see on YouTube you complaining about my pens. I'll get a better pen next time. It's a minute before 10.
What is Overtrail? Is it off the beaten path, over the edge of comfort, or the thrill of the road less taken? It's over every bridge, every obstacle, every trail, and over to that view that takes your breath away. Overtrail means going further, exploring deeper, surrounded by the comfort and sophistication of a luxury SUV. It's this spirit that inspired the Overtrail project. Experience Overtrail in the LX and GX range. Lexus. Experience amazing.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct to give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
It's 10 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Bali Dlamini. The Johannesburg Metro Police Department is urging motorists to avoid the M1 North near the Boysons Road off-ramp this morning. The busy road has been closed off to traffic following a serious accident involving a bus and 6 cars. Preliminary information suggests a passenger had an altercation with the driver of the bus and grabbed the steering wheel. The bus subsequently lost control and collided with vehicles on the M1 North. Metro Police Department spokesperson Xolani Fihla says multiple injuries have been reported.
Law enforcement officials are on scene. The M1 North is currently closed to traffic at Boysons Road, causing significant disruptions, and motorists are advised to use Crownwood Road or Xavier Street as alternative routes from the M1 North.
The Roodepoort Magistrates Court is expected to hear closing arguments in the bail application of Tiffany Nicole Meek. She is accused of murdering her 11-year-old son, Jaden Lee Meek. The child was found dead in Vleehof just a day after his mother reported him missing in May of this year. Ndogozo Kumalo reports.
The Roodepoort Magistrate Court will be given reasons as to why the murder-accused Tiffany Nicole Meek should or should not be granted bail. Some community members who have been attending the long bail application process have expressed mixed opinions as to why Meek should be allowed to go home. Many have said she must stay behind bars for her safety, a point that was also shared by investigating officer Nceba Tiko. However, her lawyer Novel Naidu has argued that society's views are fickle and can change at any whim. The court has been presented with evidence which placed Jaden Lee Meek in the Vleehof apartment he shared with his mother before his death. Judgment is expected to be handed down this week. Ndogozo Kumalo, Eyewitness News.
Let's stay in the courts. 8 suspects are expected back in the Middelburg High Court in Mpumalanga facing double murder charges. The case relates to the 2020 torture and killing of Sfiso Twala and Musanene. The two were accused of being cattle thieves when the car they were travelling in broke down near the Bamboon farm. A security guard turned state witness has testified that the farm owner and other security guards then planted sheep in the vehicle to make them look like cattle thieves. Tabiso Goba has more.
On statements made to the police on the day of the incident, security guards at the Bamboon farm said the men they killed were cattle thieves. However, a former security guard, now turned state witness, Mthokozisi Vilakazi, says this was a lie. Vilakazi has testified in court that the sheep were planted into the men's car to give them plausible reason for beating them up, but they never intended on killing them. Thandi Twala says she doesn't believe her brother and friends were cattle thieves.
It
can never be. Sfiso was unemployed for a number of years and never resorted to crime. Why would he start now that he was employed?
The trial continues today at the Middelburg High Court in Mpumalanga. Tabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
Action SA has introduced the Constitution 22nd Amendment Bill, which, if passed, will see the removal of all current deputy ministers. The party says this would save the country more than R1 billion a year. It follows President Cyril Ramaphosa's appointment of Professor Feroz Gichalia as acting police minister. Action SA parliamentary leader Athol Trollip says South Africa has the biggest cabinet in the world.
We have seen that deputy ministers are, for all intents and purposes, just glorified doormen and doorwomen for the ministers. We've seen now in this case with the police incident that they were not good enough to be promoted to become ministers.
Trollip says they want more levels of vetting of these ministers.
We believe that obviously the president has the right to select who he wants on his cabinet, but we believe there must be some kind of screening. We've seen Justice Zondo this weekend saying how it pained him to swear ministers into cabinet that he had found against in the Zondo Commission.
And the United States and European Union have finally reached a trade deal framework of a U.S. tariff on all EU goods of 15%. The deal brings to an end a months-long standoff between two of the world's biggest economic partners. It followed negotiations between U.S. President Donald Trump and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen in Scotland. Von der Leyen has hailed the deal, saying it will bring stability for both allies who together account for almost a third of global trade. Gold is trading at $3,338.08 an ounce. The rand is at 17.73 to the dollar, 23.84 to the pound, 20.81 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $68.44 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got that road closure on the M1 North between Boyson's Road and the Crown interchange, obviously due to that major accident scene where a bus collided with 6 other motor vehicles. So it's really a no-go area at this moment. The M1 North in itself, it's a parking lot. This is between Xavier Street and the Boyson's Road off-ramp. If you can, try to avoid the M1 this morning while traveling on the R59 North. This is in the Alberton area. We've got an accident reported there. It happened at Swartkopies Road. It's causing a slight backup.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng today. Temperatures peaking at highs of between 15 and 18 degrees. The top story in EWN. The Johannesburg Metro Police Department is urging motorists to avoid the M1 North near the Boyson's Road off-ramp.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702 listens.
We are listening to you.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7
And 106 FM.
Eight minutes after 10 o'clock. Sanbonani, Bonjour, Dumelang. Welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702 from wherever you are listening to. And there are some of you that are actually now watching us on the YouTube page from Ireland, from Dubai, and many other countries. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for all your comments there on YouTube. Thank you for all your comments on the WhatsApp line. Thank you for your comments on also 011-883-0702. Coming up at 10:30, I want to remind you about this conversation we are going to have as part of the series that we started a couple of weeks ago. We are going to be looking at successful land restitution cases. As I've said before, we need to understand our history in as far as land dispossession is concerned, and we need to understand the resilience and the fighting spirit of communities that have been dispossessed of their land. You know, the communities that ultimately got their land back and transformed it into a source of pride and enjoyment. And I know we often criticize government for the slow pace with which they are pushing for land reform. We do, and they have been very slow in their land restitution program, but that doesn't mean that there are no pockets of success. So I want us to highlight those pockets of success through this feature. So today we're going to be looking at the Double Drift community land claim. A century after being forcefully removed from their ancestral land under the 1913 Natives Land Act, the Double Drift community in the Eastern Cape reclaimed their land initially taken to make way for a game reserve. So you've got community members now that didn't have any choice at the time. In fact, they were given a choice to say either you're taking the money or you receive another piece of land or you keep the existing land, and they chose the latter. And all they were thinking about was, we want to ensure growth, we want to ensure sustainability in this area. So we're looking at about 1,400 hectares that's now being utilized for game farming and hunting, which has laid the groundwork for a thriving community-based wildlife economy. So the Double Drift success story really stands as a powerful example to land reform in action, where dignity is restored, you've got livelihoods that are being built, and local ownership becoming a foundation for prosperity. So I'm very happy. I'm looking forward to that chat at 10:30. We'll also, on our Family Matters feature at 11 o'clock, talk about the importance for there being a trusted adult in a child's life. And I think with all that's been happening over the years, as adults, as parents, we need to be more trusting. We need to be more cautious. I find that we've become more trusting because we need to live in the age of it takes a village to raise a child, where there was a level of trust, right, with the people who are helping us raise our children, with our neighbors, with our family, with the people down the road from your house. And things have changed now because we're seeing more and more people violating, especially children in communities. So it's very difficult now to maintain that trust because of how vulnerable young people have been. And this is not to say these crimes have not happened before in the past, but we've found a way to report some of them. And it's really quite scary sometimes when you see what's been happening to young people in our community. So we're going to talk about the importance of having our children with trusted adults. That's what we're going to talk about at 11 o'clock. 12 minutes now after 10.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702.
So we are going to speak now to Lieutenant General Tebello Mosikili, who's the Deputy National Police Commissioner for Policing, about the allegations that the Police Crime Intelligence Division is investigating, that there are some BaSotho nationals that are undergoing military-style training on South African farms, and they're doing this to, quote-unquote, reclaim stolen land from the Mountain Kingdom. So apparently there's an emergence of a group calling itself Matalanaha, which is allegedly recruiting BaSotho youth from within the country in Lesotho and abroad to incite insurrection against their government and for even the contentious land here in South Africa. So it's very concerning if this is indeed the case, and that's why the police have decided to investigate. And if you've heard of this Matalanaha grouping, you've heard about what they're up to, I'd like you to tell us what you have heard on 011-883-0702. Are you aware of these allegations against some of the BaSotho nationals here and the training program that they're running? The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. Otherwise, post your comments there on YouTube if you're watching us there. I'll come to them in a moment, or questions if you have any. Lieutenant General Mosikili, thank you so much for joining us. She's a co-chairperson of NATJOINTS. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to the 702 listeners.
At first glance, this sounds quite concerning if we have a group of foreign nationals setting up a training camp here for the very reasons that we are told this group may be existing for. What have you managed to establish so far as the police about this group?
Thank you so much, Clement, and thanks for the opportunity that 702 has given us and to the 702 listeners. Clement, yes, it is concerning matter, and it is a matter that we cannot not investigate as the police, but most importantly, the security cluster. We are a sovereign country. We do have the rules in this country. If any other country requires intervention and assistance, it needs to be done properly and with the diplomatic relations that we are having. It is a pure criminality that was reported that we also have picked up, and we wouldn't just sit back. Hence, we have launched the investigation. All the intelligence communities in the country were alerted to this particular training, and from the time that this became or resurfaced, I will say resurfaced, I will qualify why when it surfaced this time around, it then warranted that we need to stand up and do something about it. And I think in the past, recent past, Clement, where we have experienced a similar training in Mpumalanga, when we were alerted, we responded, and all the necessary was done by the country to ensure, and we did communicated back to the communities of White River as well as the communities of South Africa. This time around, when the report emerged, it was investigated, and we are continuing to investigate because we do not have or did not at the time knew about a specific area, but we were told it is in Free State. Hence, the investigation started in and around a Free State province. But knowing that Lesotho is bordering only with South Africa and bordering with 3 provinces to be specific, we then alerted all the 3 provinces to start with the collection and analyzing all the trainings that are happening. Military style training, Clement, has not yet been established throughout the country because we did not only confine this particular investigation to Free State, knowing that BaSotho are everywhere in the country.
Okay, have you been speaking to the authorities in Lesotho? What kind of evidence have they gathered so far, and is that assisting you in your investigations?
We are in communication with our counterparts in Lesotho in different levels and different organizations that have the responsibility. As the South African Police Service, upon receiving this particular alert from Lesotho through our Interpol offices, there were engagements between the National Commissioner and the National Commissioner of Lesotho. Within the borders of Lesotho, as I indicated, that we do have these 3 provinces that are working or that are bordering with Lesotho. There is a forum that sits between the 3 provinces and our colleagues in Lesotho. This is to address any other matter and any crime at any given time. We call it a bilateral forum with Lesotho, Free State, Eastern Cape, and KwaZulu-Natal. When this was received, our colleagues that are sitting, that are chairing the bilateral, especially the acting provincial commissioner of Free State, Major General Lisia, in the absence of General Mutsenyane, did a touch base with the counterparts in Lesotho to get specifics and to also get any other evidence that they are having. We do have signed protocols of sharing of intelligence, and that was also pursued, and we did receive the alert. We are working towards sharing the intelligence that we are collecting as a country. We are also receiving what Lesotho is having, and it is handled by our intelligence communities, who then will come at the time that they are called for the NATJOINTS meeting to come and give us their assessment on what they have collected.
Okay, I've got some WhatsApps coming on 072-702-1702. Have you heard about this specific grouping? This group that somehow, is it Malata Naha? This group that is somehow establishing a training camp here, military-style training on South African farms, and they're saying they want to reclaim land that is stolen from the Mountain Kingdom, but there are also allegations that they're recruiting people not only in Lesotho but abroad as well to incite an insurrection. Have you heard of it? Are you concerned about it? What questions do you have about it? Let's start with this WhatsApp voice note.
Hi, Clement. This is Sidon. Clement, my Mosotho friend has told me that there is a party that is so much vocal about this in the Lesotho parliament. They want to reclaim the whole of the Free State, as he put it. Yeah, they say it belongs to Lesotho, they used to reside there and so on. Man, but as for, they say it's Malatanaha. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Malatanaha. Okay, so some of you have heard about this grouping. Lieutenant General, what's your message to, I suppose, some South Africans that are a little concerned about, or they're beginning to panic, especially those in the Free State? Because I've seen, some, especially coming from that side of the country, saying we are a little concerned now about our security, especially also given what's happening within the SAPS. We've got more and more South Africans that are worried about state security. What assurances can you give them in as far as the work that you're doing on the ground?
Thank you for that question, Clement. For our South Africans and the Free Staters, as you are indicating that they have a concern, to alleviate these concerns and fears is that with the security capacity that we are having in the country, with the measures that we have put in place since the emergence of this particular Malatanaha group, and the working collaboration with the Lesotho intelligence, our intelligence community in the country, as well as any other unit of the South African Police Service and other law enforcement agencies, I can attest to the fact that we are doing anything and everything to our power to make sure that we do not allow lawlessness to take place in our country. And to comfort the South Africans as well as those who love and live in it that are coming abroad, is that we are not going to allow lawlessness to happen. I think your assertion now is that with what is happening currently in the South African Police Service, that thing is receiving attention, and it should not deter us from doing the work. We are still continuing to do the work, and we have left any other matter to be attended to as it has been pronounced by the President, by the Minister of Police. Policing will continue. Collection of intelligence will continue. My plea, Clement, at this point with the South Africans and the listeners of Radio 702 and others is that please, when there is anything that is unrelated or that is related to the concern of seeing training, you will not know at what level. If we can be alerted, the authorities will do what they are mandated to do, to go and verify. It's better to be upfront and go and investigate than to say this one is normal, it's a security training or so on and so forth, especially where firearms are involved. From time to time, when we release the crime statistics, we do not shy away from the fact that the weapon of choice in violent crime is firearms, and it's concerning for the country to have people that are being trained a militaristic type of training, because it might be Malatanaha, but they are threatening the security of the country, and those people can be trained and they can do any other thing. We have incidents where we have recovered a lot of very dangerous weapons and firearms in our illegal mining operations and any other operation. And we have taken the stance as a priority for the South African Police Service that we are going to confiscate and collect any other firearm irrespective. So the training that people can come across, please alert the authority. We will do the necessary. But as of now, we have put every measures in place, all the units, including the DPCI, the investigators that are investigating crimes against the state, they are also on board.
Okay, just lastly, there's someone who's wanted clarity on when you said when this resurfaced. So the question is, have we gotten information like this before? Have the police dealt with something similar before?
There were claims that were reported, Clement, before 2-3 years back, where I believe it should be the same group. I'm speaking under correction, where there were claims that parts of South Africa belong to Lesotho, and not only Free State. I think parts of Eastern Cape, parts of KwaZulu-Natal, parts of there were a number of areas that were identified that were communicated at the time as part of Lesotho. Hence, I am saying this thing is coming back again, and now it is coming back with the issue of the training that is happening in South Africa. And the claims are that among the trainees is both Lesotho, South Africans, and people from other countries. Hence, I'm saying resurface, and now it is coming, gaining more momentum in relation to the seriousness of the claims that are coming of the militaristic type of training.
Mm-hmm. Lieutenant General Tebello Mosikili is the co-chairperson of NATJOINTS, one of the Deputy National Police Commissioners, Deputy National Police Commissioner for Policing, joining us there on the line about these concerning allegations that the Police Crime Intelligence Division is investigating, that there are these BaSotho nationals that are undergoing military-style training on South African farms to reclaim land that is apparently stolen from the Mountain Kingdom. So it looks like these are people that are not only after that land, but they are recruiting people not only in South Africa but from other countries as well, so that they can also come through and incite insurrection back in Lesotho. It's quite concerning, but the police are saying they've got this covered and their crime intelligence division is investigating. James, you are in the Johannesburg CBD. Good morning.
Morning, Clement. I hope you're cool.
Yeah, sure.
Clement, look, I'm not convinced about what she's saying, because I can tell you, Clement, that I heard about this story 2 weeks ago, maybe even 3 weeks ago. Before I read, on this week's newspapers, by General Masemula saying that they're investigating. I mean, surely for me, it shows that we've got a very weak intelligence. And this one in particular from Mpumalanga, it was worrying because we saw the tents there being built, And I can tell you that even that one, I'm sure the communities were reporting about it every time, and then they reacted after that. I think that, they need to up their intelligence. Personally, I don't feel safe. I think that we were very weak intelligence, very weak security cluster. I'm not convinced at all. Because they act after the fact. It's not like, because I want to hear, Clement, them saying that they must be the first people to know. I don't want to read this thing from the media before they said, okay, we heard that there is this thing, then let us go and act. For me, it doesn't inspire confidence. They are very disappointing, these people. Okay?
Yeah, James, in the Johannesburg CBD, thank you. And it's disappointing that they're also fighting each other, because now, we also have to ask how much of these fights are actually interrupting the work that you're supposed to be focusing on as the police. Here's some WhatsApp voice notes.
Well, Clement, good morning. Zamile from Orange Farm. I heard about this group, and it's not for the first time that I hear about this group. They started first as a small organization in Yana, and then now they are a military group that has been trained right in South Africa to attack South Africa. And it is not only that they want to take the entire Free State. They want to take part of the Vaal as well, because they believe that the Vaal and the Free State and some parts of this country belong to Lesotho. What is the intelligence of South Africa saying about this? Because the first time I heard about this, it was actually from the intelligence of Lesotho. Did the South African intelligence hear from the Lesotho intelligence, and then they started reacting? That means we don't have intelligence in this country. Good morning.
Clement, as South Africans, we should be concerned about this. BaSotho nationals, we now know, have taken over as one of the largest groupings as part of Zama Zama. So our law enforcement should not take this lightly, and we as citizens should also not, we should be concerned. Bopelo from Benoni.
Morning, Clement. Malatana,
I believe there must be someone who's funding these people to carry on with this kind of operations within South Africa. So, which means our security is very poor, really. I heard about this people who are doing these things somewhere in South Africa, and it's sad and it's not good at all. It's not good. I mean, how can something like this repeatedly happening in our country, which means we are poor when coming to security? So there must be someone who's powerful, who's fueling this kind of operations in our country. So if the country itself it doesn't stand up and eradicate this kind of things and tightens the law, then we don't have anywhere to go. There's no way that a country like this one, a beautiful country like South Africa, must accommodate things like this. I mean, this is a very bad picture to us. We are sleeping each and every day, but people are busy operating within our country. It's very sad. It's very sad. Mudise here from Lenasia. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we should all be concerned, especially with what we've seen before. Remember, this is not the first time that a military type of training like this is discovered. And yeah, why are these groups so comfortable to come set up training camps here? There must be something that allows them and makes it so easy for them, and that's got to concern us. It's 10:31. Let's get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Mbali, hi.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Multiple injuries have been reported following an early morning accident on the M1 in Johannesburg. The busy road near the Boysons Road off-ramp had to be closed off to traffic as a result of the crash, which severely affected peak time travel. The accident involved a bus and 6 cars. Preliminary information suggests that a passenger had an altercation with the driver of the bus and grabbed the steering wheel, causing it to lose control. The strike by pilots at low-cost airline FlySafair has entered its second week today. This after pilots affiliated to trade union Solidarity rejected an offer from management and voted for the strike to continue. Negotiations between the union and the airline's management resumed last week, but Solidarity says little progress has been made. The union accuses FlySafair of failing to engage in the dispute resolution process at the CCMA. And more than 40 people have been killed in an attack by rebels from the Allied Democratic Forces in northeastern DRC. The ADF, which pledged allegiance to the Islamic State in 2019, raided a Catholic church in the town of Commander yesterday, where worshippers were gathered for prayer. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
As you heard on Eyewitness News, the M1 North remains closed off to traffic. This is between Boysons Road and the Crown turn-off. Do expect delays if you will be travelling on this road. While travelling on the R24 West, we've got delays. This is between Edenville Road and the Kiludis Interchange. That's due to an accident scene. There's also queuing traffic along Main Reef Road. This is just as you approach the M2 exit. I'll have more updates for you. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Life has its own rhythm, but muscle and joint pain may upset the beat.
Noflex Gel.
Trust Noflex Gel's triple action formula to target muscle pain, reduce inflammation, and help numb the affected area.
Noflex Gel.
So, get your beat back and reclaim the rhythm of life.
Noflex Gel.
Beat the pain with Noflex Gel and higher strength Noflex Gel Fort. For more information, speak to your healthcare professional.
At the heart of global conversations shaping the future, Africa's voice matters more than ever. As Africa's largest bank by assets and lead sponsor of the B20 Summit, Standard Bank Group is proud to spotlight the continent's growth, partnerships, and potential on the world stage. Through informed dialogue and powerful partnerships, Standard Bank is driving sustainable growth where it matters most. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
702.
The Clement Manyathela Show.
Let's walk the talk.
25 minutes before 11 o'clock, we continue now with the series that we started a couple of weeks ago where we look at successful land restitution cases. If you have some experience you want to share with us around this particular issue, please feel free to call us on 011-883-0702. You can call us on WhatsApp as well on 072-702-1702. So post your questions or comments on YouTube as well. I do think that there are lessons that we can take from some people that have successfully claimed their land back, because the reality is there are still many families out there that are on the struggle to reclaim their land. It's been over 10 years, over 20 years for others, over 25 years for other people that have been trying to reclaim land they were dispossessed of. And yes, government's programs have not been perfect. If anything, in fact, they have failed to try and accelerate land reform in this country. But that doesn't mean there are no pockets of success. So that's why we're doing this series. We've been finding out from people about their journey, about how the land that they've claimed back is benefiting the very communities that were pushed off that land. So today we're focusing on the Double Drift community land claim. And a century after being forcefully removed from their ancestral land under the 1913 Natives Land Act, the Double Drift community in the Eastern Cape reclaimed their land that was initially taken to make way for a game reserve. So how has that benefited the community, and how has the journey been like? Sakiwo Jali is the chairman of the Likayaletu Communal Property Association, who's joining us now on the line to talk about this. Sakiwo, thank you for making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement and your viewers. How are you today?
We're good. Thank you so much for joining us and for coming through to share what your experience has been as the community. Let's start maybe with what happened from the beginning. When was the land dispossessed, and do we know how many families were affected during that time?
All right. Thank you, Clement. In actual fact, the land was dispossessed in 1936 because of those racial laws. Remember, there was a 1913 Land Act. Then the land was taken from the people in 1936 in this area. The families that were affected were around 264 that were staying in those farms around that area. But the number has increased as years goes. Now we've got to plus minus 1,151 families. Yes.
And then what was the reason for the dispossession in the first place? I mean, yes, we know that Land Act was used to move families away from their homes. But in this case, were they trying to do that because they wanted to sort of establish a game reserve in the area? What did they eye this land for initially when you were moved? So once you were moved, what did they use it for?
Initially, the land was taken over by the white people or white farmers. They were using the land for livestock production. The goats and the beef production.
Okay.
But as time goes, there were changes also in government. It was announced that the land, I think around 1971, was earmarked for game reserve. And then ultimately, the game reserve started in between 1984 and 1990. Then the people were forcefully removed between 1984 and 1990.
So, and in terms of the journey that you have taken as a community to reclaim this land, I mean, your final settlement, if I'm not mistaken, was what, in 2012. How long did it take you as the community to fight and try and go through the system to get your land back?
Yes, Clement, since government, the democratic government, they opened a window that those people that were forcefully removed from their ancestral land, they have a right to launch a claim. And then those claims, they closed, if I still remember, in 1998. 31st December 1998. And then, fortunately enough, there was a guy called Mr. Mfoli, who was in the forefront of the claim. And then the claim was submitted before the closing date in 1998, December. It was not an easy task or easy journey. It was difficult because look at 1998, and then the land was handed over or the claim did manage to pass in 2012. According to him, because he was the one who was going in and out from the Department of Rural Development and Land Reform offices, checking the progress of the claim. And he's saying one of the challenges was like the changing of officials within the department that are responsible for our claim, things like that, up until the claim was approved in 2012.
Yeah, and what options were facing you as the community? So once your claim is now finalized, because normally they also can offer you money. I would imagine even in this case, they offered you money, or maybe you receive another piece of land, or you have to choose whether you are choosing to keep the existing land. What choices were before you, and what did you decide and why?
Look, Clement, in our case, there are two documents. It's a document called Settlement Agreement and a Co-management Agreement. The Settlement Agreement, it stipulates everything that can be done in the land and that cannot be done. So in our case, since it was developed already into a game reserve, it was not easy for us to have other options. You see, we did sign the settlement agreement that demonstrates us how we're going to work with the game and our partners. In fact, we had a partner that is going to work with us, because also we were not so have a vast knowledge in terms of game management. Yeah.
Was there any option to work with the previous owners of that land, or people who were operating on that land?
Yes, people were there. It's Eastern Cape Parks, ECPTA. Therefore, we continued working with them, and we ended up signing a co-management agreement.
Okay. How has the community benefited from this land being claimed back? So how is the community benefiting? What does this successful land restitution claim, what has it meant for the community?
Look, there are various ways in which the community get benefits from them. First of all, since we have a co-management agreement with ECPTA, and then ECPTA act as an administrative or implementing agency, then the beneficiaries, which means ourselves, we get the opportunities, like job opportunities there within the game reserve. If there are some tenders, also the SMEs, they get opportunity as well. And remember also, there were some financial compensation as well in 2012 that the beneficiaries did receive. I think an amount of around 13 million more than 13 million, 13.13. Yes.
Okay.
During that time in 2012.
Do the community members still have a say? Like how active is the community in decision making around the reserve?
Look, Clement, the community is represented by a CPA committee. Yes, which consists of the chairperson, the deputy chairperson, the treasurer, the secretary, and the deputy secretary. They are the one that usually have the sit down with the CPDA and discuss the projects and programs at the reserves. And then they come back and report to the general membership about all the beneficiaries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
14 minutes now before 11 o'clock. We're going to be back after the break and continue as we wrap up that conversation. You're welcome to join this chat as well if you've got questions. I know some of you are involved in your own legal processes to try and claim the land back. You have been going through the claiming system for so long. Some of you have grown frustrated and you probably have some questions for Sakiwo Jali, who's talking to us about the Double Drift community land claim. There are over 264 families, he said, that were moved from this community in the Eastern Cape when the dispossession happened. And now that many years later they've been able to claim the land back, the community is benefiting economically from this claim back. They're benefiting also from this game reserve that is operating. And these are the successful programs that have come with the lot of work of claiming back your land. We shouldn't be here, right? Land dispossession shouldn't have happened. But you do want justice at some point, that when land has been taken and people were moved from their ancestral land, they have to go back. It's more than just the economic benefit. It's also about just dignity. There are people who have been buried on land and you have been pushed away, move from that community because people thought this would make a great game reserve area. And in that way, they are pushing you away from your families, from the link that you have and the appreciation you have of the people that came before you that were buried on that land. So there's a whole lot more than just economic benefits of successful land reform programs. After the break, I'll take some of your questions. If you have any, you can call or send a WhatsApp voice note as we wrap up this chat with Sakiwo Jali. 12 minutes before 11.
Calling all golf pros. Hollywood Bets invites you to step onto the green. Tee up, take a swing and enjoy glorious golf action from electrifying competitions and thrilling live tournaments. Get ready to conquer the fairway and chase epic fortunes. Ready to master the odds and experience your crowning moment? Bet now on all the excitement and prepare to make your hole-in-one shot to sensational success. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008.
You've been supporting the boys your whole life.
Don't you feel like a cry?
They never gave up. And now they've made it to the finals. The finals!
Don't you feel like crying?
But you're on your couch, 12,000 kilometers away.
Don't you feel like you could cry?
You can only imagine what it would feel like to actually be there.
Crying.
Now imagine not just being there, but getting seats 5 rows up at the halfway line.
Oh, yes!
Invest early. You'll be so happy you did. Coronation. Trust is earned. Coronation is a registered FSP.
Choose Checkers, SA's #1 value for money supermarket, and save on Clover Crush 100% fruit juice blend, 1.5 litre for $39.99 each. Bonita or Parmalat salted butter, 500 grams for $74.99, and Baby Soft White 2-ply or Supreme Quilts toilet rolls, 18-pack, any two for R249. Valid until this Sunday at Checkers, Checkers Hyper, or shop on 6060.
Looking for real ways to live greener? Then don't miss the Green Tip of the Week, a weekly dose of sustainable inspiration from eco-entrepreneurs to climate champions. We sit down with the people making real change. Catch Green Tip of the Week every Tuesday on Afternoon Drive with John Pellman, 3 to 6 p.m. only on 702. Proudly brought to you by Volvo. It's safe to be brave with Volvo.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702.
It's 9 minutes now before 11 o'clock. Let's go to your WhatsApps on 072 702 1702.
Clement Mukapela here in the Val. You know, when you speak of land claims, right, there's a big land claim that has created a lot of problems here in the Val, the Velde-Beesfontein land claim of 1998. The actual person has died, but there's a lot of groups that claim to have a stake in that land claim, and they started selling land and going into private property. So they've created a lot of problems here. I mean, the leader of that group ended up going to jail for some time. I don't know what happened to his case. But there's the land claim issues in the Val. I don't know how they're going to be attended. But if you could check on the Velde-Beesfontein land claim, that is from the Everton community claimants, all that, you see the criminality that is happening there. And then wonder how will they get this land claim done with so many problems that they've created for the communities around.
Good morning, Clement. It's very, very sad because we have claimed since 1996 when the claims were open. And 3 years ago, we were told that 4 years ago, we were told that the claim is finalized. We're waiting for the government to pay the owner, only to find that a year later they have sold the farm to somebody else and all that. So it's very sad. That's the Paholand claim in Mokopane. So we're still waiting. It's just that ANC is just derailing everything.
Yeah, and there are many stories like that of frustration. And I think maybe the next part of this series should focus on some of the claims that are still frustrated in the system, like 20, 25 years later, because there are many people that are still fighting through, regardless of the evidence they have, all the documentation that's been required, and still the claims processes are not drawing to any end. Let me just, there's a question here, Sakio, about how big this land that you have claimed back is, and what does it consist of so far? Is it only like a game reserve that you're operating there?
Yeah. Thank you, Clement. Our land is 13,547 hectares of land. 13,547 hectares of land. As I've said earlier, it's a game reserve. But it consists, I think it's made up of about 34 properties, 34 different farms.
Okay.
They make up that total amount. Yes.
And looking back to 2012, sorry, Sakio, finish that point?
Yes. I'm saying there were 34 farms.
Yeah.
And then they make that total 13,547 hectares. But now it's developed. I was trying to flop your question about this day on the land. You see, currently now, the plus minus 52 people are employed there. We've got staff accommodation. We've got, I'm talking about rangers, gate guards, the tourism, people from the tourism sector. Yes, we've got animals. We've got rhinos, elephants, buffaloes, hippos, elands, cheetahs, and kudus. Yes.
And then looking back to 2012, do you have maybe challenges that you thought were the biggest? What's your reflection on some of the challenges you faced and how you were able to resolve that? Because often when we talk about some successful cases, most of the questions I get from some listeners is, how were you able to deal with the differences? Because sometimes there are challenges that the CPA is faced with during the early stages of managing the land once it's claimed back.
Indeed, Clement, there are challenges. I don't want to hide that. One of the challenges is that shortage of skills even among the CPA committee itself. Because remember, now it's not just the land. Now it's a business. Managing a business, it needs a lot of skills. I'm talking financial management skills, you see, natural resource management skills. All those skills are required. And also, since I've said that we are in partnership with ECPTA, and then ECPTA is one advanced in terms of all these skills. Now you find that if we are in a meeting sometimes, the people from the CPA committee, since I'm saying they don't have such vast knowledge, like even planning meetings, things like that, financial management, all those things, you see. But in any marriage, they might be up and down sometimes, but we end up getting to a common ground.
Yeah. And just the last question is around the opportunities for community members as well in terms of employment. Do you know, have you looked at how many jobs have been created for community members through this land? I know earlier you spoke about when there are tenders that are out, SMEs from the community often would do some work. But in terms of employment, do you have a number as to how many jobs have been created specifically for community members?
We've got plus minus 52 employees that work there. And also, I want to share something. We've got also, since the Double Drift itself is a nature reserve, but next to it, we've got also another land, a property, which is around plus minus 1,200 hectares. That one is a hunting reserve. Yes.
Okay.
We call it Braakfontein.
Sakiwo, thank you so much for coming through and sharing your experience with us around the Double Drift community land claim. Sakiwo Jali is the chairman of the Likhaya Lethu Communal Property Association, and they've been sharing their journey with us on when their land was dispossessed, what was the journey of trying to reclaim that land, and how is it benefiting the community today. So there are examples that exist, even though there has been frustration in the most part from many community members before they even get their land back. But once they've got it back, that becomes a source of pride and a source of economic empowerment for the families that were once taken away and moved from their ancestral land. It's a minute now before 11 o'clock.
What does extraordinary mean to you?
Is it enabling world-class healthcare through telemedicine?
Or empowering the delivery of water and electricity through smart meters?
AI, cloud, enterprise apps, IoT and security. One seamless ecosystem. Together, let's build the extraordinary that sustains today and protects tomorrow. Start your journey at vodacombusiness.co.za. Further together, Vodacom Business.
Looking for business insurance that gives you more? Well, Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for guest houses, catering companies, boutique hotels, and more. See why over 100,000 businesses across various industries trust them. Switch to Business Outsurance and you could get an out bonus of up to 10% of your paid premiums back. Get a quick and easy quote today. Call 08600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. Licensed insured and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
It's 11 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Bali Lamini. Multiple injuries have been reported following an early morning accident on the M1 in Johannesburg. The busy road near the Boysons Road off-ramp had to be closed off to traffic as a result of the crash severely affecting peak time travel. The accident involved a bus and 6 cars. Preliminary information suggests a passenger had an altercation with the driver of the bus and grabbed the steering wheel. The bus subsequently lost control and collided with vehicles on the M1 North. Metro Police spokesperson Xolani Fihla says the road has now been reopened.
The M1 North Highway in Boysons has now been reopened to traffic following a serious accident earlier this morning. The M1 North was closed off at Boysons Road due to a collision involving a bus and 6 other vehicles. The incident, which occurred near the Boysons Road off-ramp, resulted in multiple injuries, though no fatalities have been confirmed.
Trade union Solidarity is expected to get instructions on its way forward from its members today. This after its pilots at Fly Sefe voted to continue with their strike action. Solidarity says Fly Sefe walked out of their latest negotiations. Pilots stopped work last week after they rejected a less than 6% wage offer. They are also demanding improved working conditions, but Fly Sefe believes the demands are unreasonable. Talks between the parties moved to the CCMA late last week, and the union says they are likely to resume tomorrow. Solidarity's Secretary General Gideon Du Plessis says they were disappointed with how the airline behaved during the talks.
So today is a day of getting fresh and new mandates, but the ball is in the company's court. Last night our members have voted until last night, and the 90.4% of the pilots rejected their offers.
In the courts now, 8 suspects are back in the Middelburg High Court in Mpumalanga facing double murder charges. The case relates to the 2020 torture and killings of Sfiso Twala and Musanene. The two were accused of being cattle thieves when the car they were travelling in broke down near the Bamboon farm. A security guard turned state witness has now testified that the farm owner and other security guards planted sheep in the vehicle to make them look like cattle thieves. Tabiso Koba reports.
On statements made to the police on the day of the incident, security guards at the Bamboon farm said the men they killed were cattle thieves. However, a former security guard, now turned state witness, Mthokozisi Vilakazi, says this was a lie. Vilakazi has testified in court that the sheep were planted into the men's car to give them plausible reason for beating them up, but they never intended on killing them. Thandi Twala says she doesn't believe her brother and friends were cattle thieves.
It
can never be. Sfiso was unemployed for a number of years and never resorted to crime. Why would he start now that he was employed?
The trial continues today at the Middelburg High Court in Mpumalanga. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
And more than 40 people have been killed in an attack by rebels from the Allied Democratic Forces in northeastern DRC. The ADF, which pledged allegiance to the Islamic State in 2019, raided a Catholic church in the town of Commander yesterday, where worshippers were gathered for prayer. A UN peacekeeping mission in the DRC says the attack killed 43 people, including 9 children. The bloodshed comes after months of calm in the Ituri region, which borders Uganda. Gold is trading at $3,387.89 an ounce. The rand is at 17.73 to the dollar, 23.82 to the pound, 20.87 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $68.44 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got roadworks along the N3 North between Van Buren Road and the Kilulis interchange, causing some delays. And as you heard on Eyewitness News, the M1 North has been reopened to traffic, and traffic is flowing through towards the Crown interchange. If you're traveling, though, in the city of Tshwane, do be on the lookout for an accident on the R21 North. It happened just before the Flying Saucer interchange, and it's causing delays. The southerly direction of this route is also affected.
A top story in EWN. Multiple injuries have been reported following an early morning accident on the M1 North in Johannesburg.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. 702.
We're listening to you. You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
It's 6 minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumelang. Hello from wherever you are listening from. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. We are in our third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show, and we do this every single Monday at 11 o'clock, our Family Matters feature.
702.
Family Matters.
And today on our Family Matters feature, we are talking about the importance of having a trusted adult in a child's life. What are you doing to make sure that the children that are adults, when you are not there, the people that are adults that are looking after your children or bear some responsibility to your children are trusted? I think it is impossible for us to guarantee that, right? Whether it's the person coming to pick them up, the driver who's taking them to school, whether it's the teachers that our children spend time with at school, or if it's someone at the aftercare, but also if it's the people that are staying with the children in the household. And it could be their father, it could be their mother, it could be their grandparents, it could be their siblings, their neighbors. There's so many questions we need to ask ourselves about the safety of our children, because that's supposed to be fundamental, especially now in a world where there's so much being revealed about the abuse on children. So that's why we're discussing how important it is for us to have trusted adults in a child's life. When should you be concerned as a parent? What additional layers can you put up to make sure that there is some level of trust around the people that are spending time with your child? And maybe you were thinking that you are a trusted adult in your child's life, but how do you determine that? I mean, some children have adverse childhood experiences, right? There's direct harm, like abuse and neglect, but there's also indirect harm, like when there are some family issues you're dealing with, including parental substance abuse, and of course mental illness as well. And there are so many issues that we could mention that create significant risks for problems later in life for those children. So we have to be cautious and have to be intentional about ensuring that there is an atmosphere of safety where our children are involved, including in the very same household where those children are growing up. So I'd like to share your experiences of how you're ensuring that you trust the people that your children are going to be in the care of. I mean, it's shocking that some people don't even know who drives their children to school, you know? Some people don't know that. So how do you trust that your child is in safe hands between them leaving your home and getting to school. Some people don't take time to go and check who are the teachers, who's my children's teachers. What questions do I ask them? How do I guarantee myself that I can, at least from what I can see, trust these individuals? So what are you doing to make sure that there is that element of trust in your household in as far as your children are concerned, and even when they're outside? 011-883-0702, the WhatsApp line 0727021702. Dr. Ken Resnick is an educational psychologist and founder of Smart Choice Parenting Program, who's going to be guiding us through this important conversation. Dr. Resnick, thank you so much for making time. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Thanks for inviting me.
When we talk about trusted adults in a child's life, what are we referring to? Are we specifically just talking about people that are raising that child? Are we talking about people that these children can find them being in the care of?
Right, let's start with the parent, because there needs to be a trusting relationship between a parent and a child. So if we can understand our job, and this is where we've got it all mixed up, we bring kids into the world, they're totally dependent on us to take them into life. They're born with no self-esteem, they're born with no empathy, they're born with no motivation to want to learn, they're born with no grit. None of these characteristics. They're born with no religion, they're born with no morals, they could be potential serial killers actually. So it is our job to guide them into life. Now, just if I can use an example, if a group of us had to go into the Amazon, we're totally dependent on a guide. We depend on him. It's a dangerous environment, to keep us safe, number one, and to be confident that we can trust him. And if all of a sudden he finds some little strange creature and starts panicking, the whole group falls apart. Now, it's the same with kids. We're taking them into life. Our job is to give them the skills that they're going to need to deal with life. Life is hard. So we're going to try and help them to become independent. Now, they're born, they see you, they don't know who you are. You obviously become mommy and daddy, and they're totally dependent on you to give them all the tools they need. So what starts happening, and it happens in too many homes, if we're not setting proper boundaries, if we don't know what we're doing, we start screaming and shouting, kids become insecure. And then they don't trust the parents' reaction because they believe you can do your job. They don't know, you're the guide, you should know what you're doing. So, for instance, if a parent says, all right, play with my cell phone, but be careful. Kid throws it against the wall, breaks it. And that parent goes mad, the child's going to have no idea what's the problem. To them, it's a piece of plastic. So it's parents understanding their role, number one, how to communicate with their kids, and to ensure that the kids have the skills to take on life. So if I can give a good example, today, if you have a look around, there are far too many kids that are impulsive and want things on demand. Why? I ask every group I speak to. They're born impulsive. A little one-year-old will toddle up to you and you've got something in your hand, they'll just grab it. So how do we deal with impulsivity? It's so important. Manners. We're not instilling manners in children today. So a little one-year-old toddles up to you, he wants to grab something, you just say to him, no, ta. Say ta. If he doesn't say ta, he doesn't get it. But you stay calm. He gets it when he says ta. And when he takes it, he says ta again. It slows kids down. So parents need to understand what their job is about. So how important it is to get kids to speak properly, to have manners, to have boundaries, all of these sort of things, it's up to us. Our religious values, all our morals, we instill in our child. They can't just learn it. Put a kid in a room, he'll just grow up, but he'll have he won't have used his brain, etc. So they're totally dependent on us to make sure that the wiring in their brain should be as it should be. So we're not stressing enough the impact that the parent plays in the healthy development of a child. And to answer your other question, the same as if you've got somebody employed that's got to be there to look after your kid, they are doing a locum for you. They need to have the same skills or be trained the same way as a parent. They need to have authority with the child, where the child isn't bossing them around. And that is one of the key factors as a parent. We've got to be the authority figure in their life, not authoritarian, authoritative, so that they feel safe with us. And whoever's going to take their place, whether they go out, whatever, that person needs to be trained with the structures that they've got in the home, how to manage those kids. Because parenting is actually a management job. It's like baking a cake. We've got the ingredients, but no recipe. And that is why it's difficult, because nobody's got the real recipe for parenting. But once we can understand what we need to do as that parent and how to stay calm, how to communicate with them effectively without getting all uptight, that makes such a difference. And there's a way of doing it. If you want, we've got time, we can discuss a lot of things in terms of what parents can do in order for a child to be ready to go into that hostile environment of the playground. But we're tending to keep kids at home. And as a result, they mix too much with adults, they're watching too much TV, they can't entertain themselves, and they're ending up with problems at school.
Yeah.
And nobody seems to be doing the right thing, because we send them for an assessment, and then they label. In the meantime, they're actually healthy kids. So we could talk forever on the subject, but that's just a sort of an introduction to it.
Okay, got you. So, and I want to pick up on what you said about what parents can do to get the children in the playground. I mean, in the South African context, for instance, you've got some households that are single parent or child-headed due to either poverty or the loss of parents. There are many dynamics at play. How can communities step in, though, to provide that much-needed support and guidance to children? Because when we talk about trusted adults, there was a time when we used to talk about how it takes a village to raise a child, but that is changing now with how even the village itself is treating the children. So even when you talk about sending children to the playground, there are some parents that have chosen not to allow their children to the playground because there's no safe place anywhere now. They worry about who is there, who may take advantage of them. So how do we balance that? One, this need to be cautious in as far as the safety of these children is concerned, and two, the need for them to be out there and be on the playground.
100%, and that's what we're not doing. In other words, the parents, they don't even let a child stay at a party alone. They don't let them sleep over at friends. So if we're going to bring kids up, remember we've brought them into a hostile environment. It is tough out there. By protecting them from that environment, let's say right until they're teenagers, they're just not going to cope as adults. And that's what's happening out there, because it's a rough world for a kid. You've got social media, you've got all sorts of things impacting them. But if we help parents understand, and it's not that difficult, from the beginning, they've got to be allowed to experience the bigger world, where it's quite safe. Little examples, a kid wants KFC, little 5-year-old. A mom can just take him to the door, let the child go into KFC on their own, order on their own, and then come out. So we're not giving kids the opportunity to do things on their own without mom being there or somebody being there. And the parents are lacking confidence, and they're getting, no, we're not educating. And the problem today is that the focus is all on the child, and parents are left in a really incredible state of anxiety. There's a lot of stress all around, and it goes right across the board. Obviously, a socio-economic problem like poverty and that, it's very, very difficult. It's like taking like a kid that's on the street. Because he's had no development in his brain, I can't go into it now, he's just survival. It's about just surviving. So that child can't ever do well at school because he's not feeling that good about himself. It's all about just existing. So it doesn't just happen. That's why if you take a 13-year-old off the street, that's what they're used to. They can't learn. They don't want to learn. It's out of their comfort zone because their brain is only being used to eat and to keep warm. So there are all of these factors. So your socio-economic factors are obviously different to the norm. But in the normal situation, definitely, you can get, as you say, in a community, you can educate moms, you can educate the dads. What is our job about? How do we go about it? Because every kid is a kid. It's got irrespective. That's what's fantastic about parenting. It crosses all boundaries in terms of color, religion, etc., etc. We all want the best for our kids. But there is definitely a way of doing it. And I do think that if you can train, I remember talking to a group of women in a township, where was it? Rickens or somewhere. And they were so, they so wanted just some tools so that they could parent their kids. And we're not doing that. We are too busy sort of writing these kids off, letting them watch TV because it keeps them quiet, have a little device they become addicted to, and then you've got all the aggression that goes with it, that they've got to survive. But those aggressive kids were not born like that. Something's happened in their environment that's created them to be as violent as they are, whether it's abuse, etc. But we're not looking, and I don't believe we're educating the parents enough to understand their job. And it's not a question of blaming them. It's understanding, because we all try our best. But at the end of the day, remember, we're bringing up human beings. And we want human beings that are going to be able to have relationships, be able to have empathy, to have grit, all of these things. If a parent is given the tools how to do it, fine. A single mom that's overwhelmed, having a breakdown, is like let's say you come to work every day, you're going through a lot of stress, you've got to put that aside when you do your job. Parents, it's a job that they've got to do. And if they're too tired or depressed, well, it's got to impact on the development of the child. And I just believe that we're focusing too much on the kid today instead of helping parents understand what they need to do to ensure that their kids are going to be able to cope in this really rough world.
Yeah. Right, it's 21 minutes after 11 o'clock. We're taking your calls on 011-883-0702, WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. Where do you stand in all of this? How are you making sure that you're balancing, one, the need to be cautious, right, of your child's safety, and you make sure that where they go, that there is some level of trust on the adults that are going to be present there, but you also make sure that you allow your children to be out there and be with other kids and go play, maybe go on play dates, because that's also important for their development. And of course, understanding very well and rightly so the concerns you may have about their safety. I mean, some parents just send their kids to play dates and they've not even been to the home before. They don't know who they're sending, like the kind of parents they're sending their children to be under the care of. So it gets really, 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 really hectic. 011-883-0702. How important is it for you as an adult to be the trusted adult in your child's life? How important is it for the neighbors, for other people around you, for the teachers to be trusted adults, knowing now, as Dr. Rensik told us, how we determine and define trusted adult? You can send your WhatsApps as well on 072-702-1702.
So Taryn, you've just graduated cum laude, but nothing says you're a genius quite like selling your car to WeBuyCars.
Absolutely. My car was an 18th birthday present and it's time to move on to something a bit more mature.
So where did you hear about WeBuyCars?
All of my friends are using WeBuyCars. I would have had legit FOMO if I hadn't used them. And it was so quick. I did it on my laptop while sending around my CV.
Smart move, Taryn. Graduated and upgraded. WeBuyCars. Geared for success. Geared for you.
Icy adventure awaits in Penguin Rush, the amazing new multiplier game exclusive to Hollywood Bets. Balance risk and bag big rewards in this boundary-pushing game. Tap into thrilling adventures, rapidly increasing multipliers, tricky obstacles, and different difficulty levels that bring you closer to big wins. It's everything you ever wanted in a multiplier game and more. Bet now to feel the rush.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult at 3,469. Just had a fantastic 2-hour meeting. It was so productive that we accomplished nearly as much as I could have done with one well-written email.
Hating the corporate 9 to 5?
Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's easy and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
702 and corporates that care with Butter are talking about Butter Children's Program.
We've run school donations, volunteer days. We have about 82 people in our head office in KZN. They frequently go down to the Malvern Children's Home. The Malvern Children's Home is a home for orphans that we've adopted basically in the KZN region. We've assisted them with jungle gyms, water tanks, stationery, libraries. We built a library for them, as mentioned. Unfortunately, the Malvern's Children's Home has a R1 million debt, water and electricity debt.
Sure.
So we've created a GoFundMe page, and a portion of the proceeds from our Mandela Day shoe sales will go towards this cause. So when corporates choose Toughies for their Mandela Day giving, they're not just buying the school shoes, they're helping children keep their home running.
From jungle gyms to school supplies and life-changing donations, Butter is building brighter futures. Visit butter.co.za to learn more. 702. Let's walk the talk. 702.
Family Matters.
25 minutes after 11 o'clock on our Family Matters feature. This Monday morning, we are talking about just the need to have trusted adults around our children. And I'm asking you how you've been making sure that that is something that you do, something that you are intentional about. So there are many people who, yes, they think they can guarantee, and of course you can guarantee your child's safety when they are outside of your yard, the same way that you can when you are at least there and they're under your care. But many of us just focus on the household, and we don't pay much attention to spaces outside, whether they're going on a play date, when they're doing a sleepover, whether they are playing down the road. We don't pay much attention to who are they under the care of, and do we trust those adults? But equally so, some of us are so traumatized by the abuse we often see perpetrated against our young ones that we forget that they also need to be on that playground for developmental reasons. So we end up just hogging them and getting them to stay in the household without necessarily doing the work to make sure the areas or the places they go to are safe. So that's not good either, just making children sit on their iPads and just watching TV because, oh, I'm so scared that maybe down the road at the park that may not be safe for them, even when you may not have reason to believe that may be the case. So we've got Dr. Ken Rensig, who is an educational psychologist and founder of the Smart Choice Parenting Program, who's guiding us through this conversation. Here's a WhatsApp voice note that's come through.
Good morning, Clement. Regarding this topic about who do you trust with your children, I didn't trust the father of my child with our child, and therefore I tried to, as much as I could, to restrict access to him, because he is what I call a functional alcoholic, someone who drinks every single weekend and is always somehow intoxicated, and obviously they're surrounded by people that do the same thing. So because he wanted to have more access to the child, he took me to court, and we have a parental plan in place. And because of this, it kind of enforces that he has to be responsible around the child, even though I cannot guarantee that he's not drinking. But then if by any way he transgresses this condition that he cannot be drunk around the child, his rights are stripped away and he loses access to the child immediately if I report it to the court.
Yeah, and those are some of the protections that you can take. Yeah, and Dr. Rensik, I don't know if you've got some comments on what the listener has shared with us.
Yeah, look, as I said, I think that if we all had to apply for the job of parenting, we could halve the Earth's population, because we do have certain qualities. And in this caller's case, the husband, it's like you coming drunk to work every day. You're not going to last very long. Unfortunately, he is the father, he is allowed to see the child. But at the end of the day, depends how often he sees the child is going to depend on the impact that he has. So when you have a main custodian, let's say the child is with the mom most of the time and the odd weekend with the dad, the mother's going to have the most impact on the child. But of course, if the child has been neglected and you can prove it, or there is any type of abuse, that adult needs to not be around. It's going to impact on the child, create a lot of insecurity, and especially when there's conflict between the two adults involved with the child. And if the child is used as a go-between, makes it even worse. So that is what parents have to understand. They're the adults. They've got to deal with their stuff, but not through their child. But at the end of the day, everybody's got a right to see their child, but we need to know what we've got to do. So it's all about that. And of course, if this man does get drunk, naturally it's got to be reported and mom must take over. The biggest thing in a situation like this is for the mom to not overcompensate for the kid. What he now shame the kid, the divorce, he's got a hard father, whatever, and then she does too much for the child, or doesn't allow the child to become too independent in case something might happen. So, none of us are perfect parents, but we do need to understand that we don't want to use the child to satisfy our own emotional needs, but at the same time, we really have to create an atmosphere where we know how to be calm, we know how to be consistent, we don't want to overcompensate, we don't want to over-control, we don't want to overprotect, because that inhibits the child from taking on life.
That takes us to 11:30. Let's get the latest Now Witness News headlines with Mongezi. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation about ensuring that there are trusted adults in our children's life. Mongezi, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. The DA's Emma Powell has resigned as the party's international relations spokesperson. Her departure comes just a week after claims that she was spied on by state security. In a statement on her X account today, Powell cites ongoing harassment, threats and intimidation as key factors in her decision. She's been a vocal critic of the ANC's foreign policy and recently stirred controversy by alleging that President Ramaphosa's envoy, Cebisi Jonas, was denied a US visa. The state in the murder case against a mother accused of killing her 11-year-old son has asked the court to refuse her release on bail. 31-year-old Tiffany Meek is appearing before the Roodepoort Magistrates Court for closing arguments in her bail hearing, where her defense has argued that she does not pose a flight risk. Meek was arrested after police linked her to the May murder of her son, Jaden Lee Meek. She faces charges of murder and attempting to defeat the ends of justice. And multiple injuries have been reported following an early morning accident on the M1 in Johannesburg. The busy road near the Boysons Road off-ramp had to be closed off to traffic as a result of the crash, severely affecting peak time travel. The accident involves a bus and 6 cars. Preliminary information suggests a passenger had an altercation with the driver of the bus and grabbed the steering wheel. Now those are the headlines. There's Eyewitness News and more at midday, or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
The CWN Traffic is brought to you by cars.co.za. Let's find what moves you. Amo, how are the roads looking?
Well, Clement, let's start off in the city of Tshwane with some delays on the N1 South approaching Stormfield Road. Please be on the lookout there. If you're still traveling on the R80 East Mabopane Highway towards Eskom Patlele exit, do expect delays there. That's due to faulty traffic lights right at the Eskom Patlele exit. The good news at this point is that that accident that was on the R21 near the Flying Saucer interchange has been cleared. Traffic is now flowing. But if you are traveling on the N12 West in the Edenville area towards the Giluli's interchange, do expect delays coming out of Edenville Road. There's also queuing traffic along the M2 West. This is between the Crown interchange and Main Reef Road. I am Amo Ramela, and that was your last traffic update from me. Otherwise, Karabo Jali will have your next update at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Majestic handling. A V8
Cars.coza.
horsepower that is...
Cars.coza.
This is very annoying. I'm trying to read a car radio advertisement.
Whatever car you want to buy or sell, cut through the and just go to cars.coza and let's find what moves you. Cars.coza.
This year, the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival offers you 3 days of the heart and art of jazz from the 26th to the 28th of September across 4 stages at the Sandton Convention Center. Esperanza Spalding, The Baylor Project, Jasmine Horn, Alune Wade, Steve Bedi, Michelle Denjeshelo, Steve Dyer featuring Amazwi 8 Choir, Gabi Mutuba, the Fisherman Orchestra, and over 50 world-class acts will be expecting you and yours. Take me there. Buy your tickets +1 at Ticketmaster now.
So, how did it go?
Oh, just perfect. The drive, so comfortable. The panoramic sunroof, my highlight.
But what about the date?
It was nice, but the Jolian Pro, next level.
Sometimes the drive is the best part. The Haval Jolian Pro from 4,299 per month. Visit gwm.coza for T's and C's and book a test drive. Go with more. Go with GWM.
It's Winter Carnival at Food Lovers Market. Get 6 2-litre bottles of Pepsi Zero, Light or 7-Up sugar-free for $59.99. 2 2-litre bottles of Food Lovers canola oil for R110. 3 400-gram packs of assorted Food Lovers cheese for R150. And 2 packs of Food Lovers 2-ply toilet paper 18s for R200. Valid until 3 August. Only at Food Lovers Market. Winter Carnival now on.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Why have you given up on your offer?
No, I haven't given up on my offers. We've started going to the market with 2 key CPs in terms of the transaction.
Mornay, welcome. CEO at Hyprop Investment. Why won't you give it to Hyprop?
You should probably aim this question at Mass and not at me. I think there's more transparency around this agreement than any other agreement I've ever encountered.
The CEO at Prime Capital, Martin Slubbert.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Bank, a leading Pan-African bank and proud sponsor of the African Blockchain Report 2024. Absa is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
702.
Family Matters.
24 minutes before 12 o'clock. We are in almost, in fact, the middle of the conversation on our Family Matters feature. About the importance of trusted adults in a child's life. This is the conversation we're having this hour with Dr. Ken Renzek, who's an educational psychologist and founder of the Smart Choice Parenting Program. We need to think more and more now about the safety of our children than before, because as I said, we used to talk about how it takes a village to raise a child, and now not so much. We have to consider even ourselves as parents on whether or not we are trusted adults around our children. I see your messages coming through. Let me start with Lebu on the WhatsApp line, who says, "Hi Clement, what a relevant topic. This topic really touches me because I had a disagreement with my brother this past weekend about how I choose to raise my son. He's very aggressive and he's a bully, and I refuse to leave him alone with my son." Another one says, "Clement, there doesn't seem to be any supervision with township children going out to play. There have been so many murders. The mother says the child was playing down the road. Next thing, the child is raped or killed. Should be so the aftercares in the townships. We should have considerations around that. They used to be Ubuntu, but that's not the case anymore." Another person on the WhatsApp line says, "Clement, I trust myself with raising my brother's daughter. Her mom passed away 4 years ago. We have an open policy to discuss everything. We have a lot of fun. One thing, though, is outing for them to play safely are expensive, those outings. Municipal parks are vandalized. Can other parents maybe also suggest places around Ekurhuleni to enable parents to play with their children safely?" That's a message there from Tommy. So if you know of other safe areas, especially around Ekurhuleni, maybe you can share some tips with this listener as well. Dr. Renzek, there is someone who's asking, how do they know that they are a trusted adult for a child that they're taking care of? Because, I mean, the fact that there is an adult in the care of that child doesn't necessarily mean that they can be trusted or they are right? So maybe you can share with us the importance of that trust. And in this case, the question being asked is, how do I know that I am that trusted adult in my child's life? Or maybe I'm not, and I'm realizing that, and I know there are some things that I've got to change.
Yeah, there are quite a lot of indications of that. Remember, as I said, we only try our best, and there's no job description for what we do. But it's really quite a big question. For instance, let's say we've got a kid, we're there for the child all the time, we're doing too much, then we find all of a sudden at school he's being bullied. And then we start wondering, now, what do we do? Now, one of the reasons, one of the consequences today of keeping the kids at home, where we're doing too much for the child, they're not being socialized. And many kids are hanging around too much with adults. So you take a little 6-year-old that's always been around mom, never left alone at parties, etc. First day at school, somebody bumps him, he starts crying. He's going to tell his mommy. Goes and tells mom, mom comes to the school and performs. Well, that child's got no chance on the playground. Because I've done a lot of counseling with kids that are bullied, and we've got to give them the skills to know how to respond. And they're all different types of bullies. I'm sure when you were at school, you found even in matric, we gave a few kids a really hard time. So at the end of the day, we know by the child's cooperation, how calm he is, how anxious he is, how giving he is. There's a lot of indications. He's coping at school. He's busy playing extramurals, getting involved out there, not scared to maybe mix with other kids. There are a whole lot of indicators because, as I said early on, child has two worlds, home and the playground. Now, he might be perfect at home, but at the end of the day, the moment mom's not there, he becomes very insecure. And of course, then we got a problem because then how's he going to handle the bigger world? And often we worried about leaving him out there. And fewer kids, for instance, are getting involved with extramurals. They should be encouraged to play extramurals. Yeah, a lot of parents feel at least when the kid's at home in front of that TV, he's safe. So a lot depends on the child's attitude to you. If they've got respect, if they're whining all the time, they're scared to do anything for themselves, we're doing too much for them. Simple as that. And the moment, opting out is a big problem with a lot of kids today, where they start something, it gets a bit hard, mom's got to help them. And if I could mention, the message that a lot of parents are getting is to be there for their child. Now, being there for their child doesn't mean they've got to be their friend. They've got to be that authority figure. And one of the things that is happening, one of the consequences of this message is that moms think they've got to be around their kid all the time. So they're killing their creativity. For instance, kids are made to play alone. That is when they're at most creative. A little 6-month-old child in a playpen with a few little blocks that he's got to construct, he can use his imagination. But the moment mom's got to be there doing everything for him, those are good indications. I found, for instance, kids in remedial classes don't do anything. They can't do anything without help from mom. Before they even try, they give up and mom's got to help them or dad's got to help them. All of those are indications. A mom can go shopping and then say to the little boy or girl, go and ask the man there where the shoes are, etc. And if the child is scared to go, that's already a bit of an indication that maybe we're overprotecting the kid. If a child is badly behaved in public, there are a lot of indicators. But if the kid is content, doesn't have to have mom lying with him every night, sleeping in his parents' bed, and all of these things, we know that they're developing. We're getting good reports from school. He's become part of the classroom. He's either a leader or he gives very little trouble. He's quite assertive. So there are a lot of indicators because every kid's got this potential to self-actualize, to be the person he should be. But it's totally how we bring them up. And that is why you look at so many people that are successful. They've had a hard time. Life is hard. We've got to help kids deal with that life, not opt out of it. It is hard, rather than protect them from anything that might upset them. And what is happening, there are a lot of kids that are anxious, and then they're scared. Or if they don't get the last ice cream at a party, they have a tantrum. It's not how it should be. Kids have got to get over things. We're not letting kids get over things. They sort of break down and cry the moment they don't get their own way. So you can see it's a very broad topic, but the indicator is how is the kid handling school? And that is going to be your biggest indicator in terms of, how well we're doing our job.
Yeah. And why is the presence of a trusted adult so vital for a child's emotional, mental, and social development. I know we touched a little bit on this earlier, but I'm seeing another question about how this actually affects the children themselves. Like, what are the long-term effects on children who grow up without any trusted adults, whether in their homes or schools or just in the communities?
Well, first of all, they can do nothing for themselves. They've been given no skills. You must remember, learning is a choice. And we've got to be able to supervise that when a kid learns, he's trying his best. Whatever he does, he's got to make an effort. If he's allowed to do what he likes, give up when he likes, etc., he lacks self-discipline as he gets older. So, for instance, a parent's got to make sure if a kid's going to play with something, he's got to finish it or build a puzzle, not just give up because it's got hard. So, at the end of the day, we've got to get kids to want to try, to make the effort, not give up. Because if they give up, well, they're not learning how to persevere. And a kid that doesn't persevere lacks self-discipline as they get older. And as I said, the fact that we're not addressing that impulsivity is a big problem because kids don't have manners. So they immediately will interrupt. They'll immediately just go to the fridge, take what they like, leave their toys around, etc. That definitely impacts on their self-esteem and how they cope with life. Because what sort of meaning are we giving to a child that never has to do anything for himself, is allowed to do what he likes? And as I said, to me, one of the most important things is for parents, when these kids are young, teach them manners. They can't, that little tip alone makes a huge difference. Where a kid can't just interrupt you, can't just get familiar with adults and starts learning how to actually behave and be accepted in the world out there and empathize and understand in different cultures how you should behave.
Yeah. Well, it's 14 minutes now before 12 o'clock. We're going to come back and wrap up this conversation with Dr. Ken Rensneck, who is an educational psychologist. I'll go to your thoughts as well, whether on the YouTube page, on WhatsApp, or you can give us a call as we wrap up our conversation about trusted adults in our children's life. How much consideration do you make about your child when they have to be in other environments that you have no control over? How do you make sure that, in fact, you do trust the people that your children are in the care of, whether at school or at the church? I mean, do you care to find out who are the adults in that church? Who are the teachers? Do you care to find out who are the people that the child is going to do a sleepover at? I think sometimes as parents, we just leave it up to the people who are on the other side, and we don't satisfy ourselves with the safety of the environment and who our children will be under the care of. How do you make sure that there are trusted adults in your children's lives?
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
If this idea that the United States of America is going to impose sanctions on ANC leaders goes ahead, there is a danger that that move will be interpreted by many a South African as yet another attempt by Western powers to try and exercise hegemony over African states. What people have tried to do in trying to be moderate will be radicalized. But what will happen, the idea will be, I'd rather be free in hell than be a slave in heaven.
Aubrey Masango,
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
My family's struggling with snotty noses and phlegmy coughs.
Oh no! Have you tried ACC?
ACC 600 is a convenient one-a-day effervescent tablet from 14 years of age. Or now also in a no-water-needed, fruity-flavored sherbet-like granules that dissolve in your mouth. Ideal for the on-the-go adult. Ask for ACC 600 effervescent or oral powder at your nearest pharmacy to get rid of the snotties and flemmings. And trust, if it doesn't say ACC, it's not ACC.
At Bright, we don't just provide business insurance, we insure your businesses.
Future success.
Because your business is so much more than desks and computers and equipment, which is why we use our specialist expertise to tailor solutions for each client differently to ensure what's really important. So insure your businesses.
Financial security, BT.
With Bright today, contact your broker or go to brightinsure.co.za to find out more. Bright. Approach risk with purpose. Bright is a licensed insurer and authorized FSP.
The Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra's early spring season features a stellar lineup of international and local talent. Enjoy favorites by Mozart, Beethoven, and Tchaikovsky. Concerts run at the Linda Auditorium on Thursday evenings from 7 to 28 August. Book at Quicket. Visit jpo.co.za for more info.
702.
Family Matters.
It's 11 minutes now before 12 o'clock on our Family Matters feature. Now we're just about to wrap up a conversation with Dr. Ken Resnick, who is an educational psychologist and founder of Smart Choice Parenting Program. And we've been talking about just children's safety. How much do you do to ensure that there are trusted adults in your children's lives? It's very important, and this is not just limited to the parents, but as a school, for instance, as an aftercare, daycare. How important is it for even the people that you hire to be trusted adults in children's life? That's very, very, very important. And of course, there are socioeconomic challenges, whether you talk about unemployment or crime or substance abuse, that affect the ability of adults to be present, to be even emotionally available to children, even reliable. But it's important that we consider this. Otherwise, we are going to continue raising children that, as Dr. Resnick said, are unable to, but they just don't have good behavior when they're out in the place because they've not been raised well in the household. There have been some deficiencies. And sometimes, yes, parents are struggling because they are single parents. But sometimes you see in how the children behave and you've got an idea of how they've been raised. And Dr. Resnick, that is the bigger concern really that most parents have, especially single parents, is that, well, there are socioeconomic challenges that are not allowing us to create that environment where we can guarantee that safety or where we can be there as much as possible in our children's lives because of the work we do. We are single parents. What tips do you have for parents listening to us who are spending so much time without their children because either they are traveling far, they come only month-end home, or they often get home at night when the children are already back, so the children end up spending so much time exposed to other adults that may or may not be trusted. What tips do you have for parents who are concerned about this issue of safety and trust because they're spending so much time away from their kids because of the varied circumstances?
So basically, one of the major needs of a child is to feel emotionally safe. So whoever the adult is looking after that child, if they have the skills and the training, that kid's going to be fine. So, in other words, if you're going to employ somebody to look after our child, they need to be trained. They need to have structure. In other words, if a parent does work long hours, they still need to be running their home with structure, where the kids have got responsibility, where there's got to be rules, etc., etc. And then all they got to do is impart to whoever's going to look after them. There's got to be an adult always looking after a kid. Kids can't really look after themselves. And often you've got siblings looking after other siblings. It's not how it's supposed to be. But then that could be socioeconomic as well. So it's all about making sure the person that you train, like when somebody wants a job at the radio station, they interviewed. We look at their qualifications, etc., etc. And we've got to be looking at those things. We can't just employ somebody because, they're only going to cost us 30 Rand a month, and the person's got no skills, the kids have got no respect for that person. There's no proper authority in their lives, and the chances are the kids will watch too much TV, or they'll be doing they'll get up to some behavior that's not okay. So it's always important to make sure, the same at a school, pre-primary school that you look at, certainly have a look around, get feedback from parents, look at the state of the schools. How many kids are, when you go there, is there chaos? Is there structure? So there's a lot of things that you can look at that your kid will be safe. But if you are working a lot, you happen to have a child, it is still your responsibility to train that child whatever time you've got with him, and to train the people that are going to be filling your place, doing your locum, to be parenting or supervising with authority and where the children feel safe and there's structure, etc., etc.
Tini on the WhatsApp line says, good morning, Clement and your guests. This world is not fair anymore. The way it used to be a long time ago. Things have changed. There's many bad things and cruel things that are happening to the children. We are overprotective now. No more leaving a child, and a child then ends up disappearing for even a second. We are too scared now. And isn't that the true, Dr. Rensnick? That's how panicked most parents are because of the incidences we have seen being exposed, in recent years. We are so on panic mode. So even when we're at a park and a child disappears for a couple of minutes, already we're thinking the worst. So there are all these concerns that come because of what we experience in our society that then affects how the parents are open with their children's growth and development. And someone was asking here that, is it a bad thing that they have chosen, that they've chosen specific children that their parents, that their children can play with? So when they arrange play dates, so they've gotten to a point where they not necessarily choose friends for their children, but they only play dates where we've met the parents, we know the parents as well, and then that's the only people that we allow our children to sort of play with. And that's their way of being cautious. I mean, is that limiting to a child and their development, or does it still work for parents who may be too concerned?
Let's look at this very briefly. We bring the kids into the world, and it's a rough world. If I can use an analogy of a little lion cub that we find, and we think, gee, that lion really going to have a problem in the jungle when it's older, so we're going to make life easy for them now, so that when they go to the jungle, they'll have had a bit of an easy life. So if you take a lion out and all you do is pamper it, and you put it in the jungle when it's an adult, it's going to be dead in a day. So we've brought kids into a tough environment. We've got to do our best to give them the skills to get out there, because if we overprotect them, they don't automatically, when they turn 18, have all the skills, confidence to get out into the world. We've given them no skills. So that is what we've got to realize. It is a responsibility that we have to give them some tools. Otherwise, they just don't cope, because there are a lot of vicious people out there, nasty people. You've got WhatsApp, you've got all sorts of things, all sorts of bullying going on. And if I can just mention, one of the big problems today is obviously with PlayStation, etc. A lot of kids that aren't socialized create their own subside and another society for themselves, where they connect with kids they never meet. And then they just become addicted to these games. And that impacts on their whole development. I always had a parent. It's like they become Martians and they've got to cope on Earth. And because that's not how it should be. So you've got a lot of kids that are getting addicted to the PlayStation but have no social skills at all. And they don't have empathy. There's a whole lot of, factors that are consequences of that. So we've really got to understand we've brought them into a tough world. We've got to have structure. We've got to have discipline. We've got to give them the tools that make them feel good about themselves. We've got to make sure that they do try their best, all of these sort of things. It's not that easy, though. It can be done.
Dr. Ken Rensnick, thank you so much for joining us for us. He's an educational psychologist. Let me wrap up with this message from Dineo, who says, Clement, with regards to the lady who's looking for some sports to visit with her children around Ekurhuleni, I would suggest Giluli's farm around Bedfordview. It is a big family park, very safe. There's even security at the gate. It is free. Others are also not that costly, like the Modderfontein, going for about 50 Rand each to enter. So there are quite a lot of activities once you are inside. So that's a message from D in Eastern. Thank you for that suggestion, D. I know the previous caller wanted to find out where to go, areas that are safe in and around Ekurhuleni. It's now going up to a minute before 12 o'clock.
Coming up
on the Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
Hello, Mandy Wiener.
Hey, Clement Manyathela.
How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Good.
Bit stiff, but good.
How many Ks did you do?
I just did 4 with my son.
Okay,
it's great. It's the first time
any
any of my kids have done it with me. So
Is it?
I enjoyed it.
Nice one. I did 6.7 Ks, and yes, My feet are also still
Why didn't you do
recovering.
8Ks, Clement? Anyway.
What's on the midday report?
We'll get the latest on that M1 bus crash this morning, try and understand what's happened there. The road's been reopened. A big press conference this afternoon from Justice Madlanga ahead of the police inquiry. We'll look ahead towards that. The MK has also gone to court challenging this. The president has now is going to respond in papers. The Lusikisiki massacre trial begins today. We'll speak to Minister of Public Works, Dean McPherson. He's pushing back against the 40 million rand budget to fix Parliament. And then the citrus growers have sent a letter to President Ramaphosa pleading with him to intervene on the tariffs.
I mean, I don't know, Mandy, but, I interviewed the DDG at the Department of Trade and Industry, and it really felt to me like, do we have a plan? The 1st of August is coming, but is there a plan either to negotiate or cushion some of the industries that are going to be affected? And I haven't seen a big briefing with the Trade and Industry Minister who says it's coming now on the 1st of August.
So desperate, the citrus growers saying, please intervene. So we'll speak to Gerrit van der Merwe, who's the chairman of the Citrus Growers Association.
All right, looking forward to that chat. That's the midday report coming up after the news now at 12. Thank you for listening to the show, the Monday edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. We'll be back tomorrow between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Munki Zikoko. The DA has appointed Ryan Smith as its new spokesperson on international relations following the resignation of Emma Powell. Powell resigned as the party's international relations spokesperson a week after claims that she was spied on by state security. She made the announcement in a statement on her X in her decision. Powell has been a vocal critic of the ANC's foreign policy and recently stirred controversy by alleging that President Ramaphosa's envoy, Cebisi Jonas, was denied a U.S. visa. Let's turn to this now. The state in the murder case against a mother accused of killing her 11-year-old son has asked the court to refuse her release on bail. 31-year-old Tiffany Meek is appearing before the Roodepoort Magistrates Court for closing arguments in her bail hearing, where her defense has argued that she does not pose a flight risk. Meek was arrested after police linked her to the May murder of her son, Jaden Lee Meek. She faces charges of murder and attempting to defeat the ends of justice. The state argues that preliminary evidence points to Meek's likelihood to evade trial through an address she suggested based in KZN and fears for her safety if she is released. However, her lawyer Nervin Naidu says the state has not presented any evidence before the court suggesting that she could indeed be a flight risk.
In the absence of such evidence, it is respectfully submitted that this honourable court has no other option but to come to the conclusion that the accused has discharged the onus of satisfying this honourable court that she is a suitable candidate for bail.
Amid ailing service delivery challenges, the Cooperative Governance Department has called for a review to municipal funding models. The department says the current funding model for municipalities simply does not work. Municipalities generate a majority of their budgets from charging customers for rates, water, electricity and other services. Today, COGTA is hosting a youth and women dialogue on the review of its 1998 white paper on local government at the Birchwood Hotel in Boksburg. Speaking at the event, COGTA Minister Velenkosini Hlabisa says the funding model for local government cannot be a one-size-fits-all.
We need to hear your views. What funding model must be done to ensure that our municipalities are able to deliver services? The 90% collection by municipalities and 10% from the national government has proved to be not working.
Multiple injuries have been reported following an early morning accident on the M1 in Johannesburg. The busy road near the border